The Astros pulled out a close one over the Red Sox yesterday for the 40th win of the year. Today, it's the last game before the All-Star break as the Astros go for back-to-back series wins. Day baseball at Minute Maid Park starts right now on Comcast Sportsnet. From Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, CSN Houston brings you Houston Astros baseball. Today, it's the finale before the All-Star break and the rubber game of this three-game series between the Astros and the Boston Red Sox. Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby. Bart Ennis joins us in just a few moments. Julia Morales has a day off to look at Game 3, the deciding game of this series. Yesterday, a very intriguing matchup. The Astros held off the Red Sox 3-2, Ash.
Game ends on a replay. That was pretty amazing and a very close play. The Astros pull out a tight one, and it was an exciting day at the yard.
1 and 2 in the lineup. Jose Altuve, Jason Castro had a lot to do with that game.
They got it done. Jose Altuve continues to get it done. 2 more doubles yesterday, and because of the doubles, he scores a pair of runs, and they were crucial in a 1-run victory. Jason Castro got himself a couple of big swings, one in particular, the home run. But Altuve with those doubles, he was raking down the left field line yesterday. This one initially we thought might have been caught, but not on a Jose Altuve line drive. Not a chance. Jose Altuve just continues to do it well, and he's back leading the league. Jason Castro got a first home run in a good while, and it just got out over the right fielder into the first row and right, and then he raked one into the gap in right center field. First triple of the year for Jason. So maybe Jason Castro is back swinging it well, and the Astros could use that.
You once had a homer and a triple in the same game. You remember that?
I don't. Well, I think it was in Cincinnati, actually, if I'm recalling right.
Well,
6 RBIs in that one, by the way.
Not that you remember, or you should, but it sounds good, and it happened. Now let's take a look at today's starting pitchers. Brad Peacock for the Astros. Jared Cozart is going to get a little bit of extra rest over the All-Star break, and native Texan Clay Buchholz.
Both guys with 13 starts on the year. Both 3 and 5 on the year. But that's where the numbers start to vary. The ERA much better for Brad Peacock over what Clay Buchholz has done. Buchholz a very slow worker. Peacock has been trying to speed up his game. Some of the numbers for Peacock maybe not even as good as last year, but the ERA says that he's been getting out of jams. So Brad Peacock has pitched well on the course of the year, and especially over his last 8 starts where he has an ERA just over the 3 mark.
Coming up, Jose Altuve has a special presentation coming his way, and Bart Ennis will tell us more in just a moment.
The Astros and the Boston Red Sox are going to try to settle this thing today. The rubber match of this three-game series today, the final game before the All-Star break. The Astros expecting another nice crowd today. Of course, the Red Sox always draw a good crowd. But the Astros have their own draw in the form of Jose Altuve, one of the best young players in all of Major League Baseball, and he is having an historic first half of this season. And when I say historic, I mean in compared to one of the team's all-time greats. Jose set a new team record with 130 hits before the All-Star break, breaking the record of the great Bob Watson set back in 1973. And Jose is doing it all. He has become a much better hitter over the last couple of seasons. I know that's hard to believe, but he's become a little bit more disciplined. Bo Porter telling us before the game tonight, he watches a lot more video now. He's got a much better scouting report on these pitchers, having been through the American League once already. So Jose is he's able to hit balls high in the zone, low in the zone, outside, inside. He's a hitting machine, folks, and he also does it in the field. You saw it yesterday, turning a game-ending double play with a runner bearing down on him. So Jose Altuve gives the team a little bit of everything and a lot of hits. And today, former great Bob Watson showed up here to present Jose with a special award for having broken that record. And that was a great moment to see one of the all-time legends of this franchise honoring one of its newest young stars. And can Jose Altuve lead the Astros to a big win today? We're going to find out in just a minute. Lineups and first pitch coming up next.
Houston Astros baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box for the new Jalapeno Ranch or Barbecue Ultimate Cheeseburgers at participating restaurants. And by AT&T UVerse TV. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. Mobilizing your world. Inside in air-conditioned comfort. Teams are ready to go. The youngsters still running off the field as they took their positions alongside the Astros players for this Sunday game by tradition. And the Astros and Red Sox will decide who wins this three-game series and head off for the All-Star break. George Springer there will be the designated hitter today. We'll be looking at the Astros lineup, of course, before they bat in the bottom of the first inning. But that's one of the different nuances for Bo Porter in his lineup today. George has been sore. And Bo Porter didn't want to miss his bat in this lineup today, but wanted to give him a break from playing the outfield. So it's a different outfield alignment than we normally see. And the Astros generated just enough offense yesterday in beating Boston 3-2. Here's the Red Sox starting lineup now for a club with 42 wins, 52 losses. Brock Holt is the leadoff man and right fielder. It's Dustin Pedroia at second base. David Ortiz, the DH. Mike Napoli at first base. Daniel Nava in left field. Jackie Bradley Jr. in center field. Xander Bogaerts at third base. Stephen Drew at shortstop. Christian Vasquez the catcher.
Brad Peacock on the hill for the Astros. 26-year-old right-hander. He's 3-5 on the year with a 4.30 ERA. And he's been good in his last 8 starts. Last start, that came at Texas against the Rangers. He picked up a win, working 5 2/3 innings in that one and allowed just a couple of runs. So Brad Peacock has been throwing the ball well for the club. Defensively for Houston, behind Brad Peacock. In the outfield, left to right, Chris Carter gets a start, and Kike Hernandez in center, and Robbie Grossman, a very different look in the outfield. On the infield, Matt Dominguez and Marwin Gonzalez on the left side. On the right, it's Jose Altuve and John Singleton, and behind the dish, Jason Castro.
Carter in left, that's something we have not seen for quite some time. And Hernandez patrols center field as he moves around. He's been playing mostly left lately. Robbie Grossman has been playing right the last few games. And we're ready to go. A shortstop, Marwin Gonzalez moving to his left up the middle as Brock Holt settles into the batter's box. Hitting .315 with 2 homers, 20 runs batted in. Good looking young player from Rice University. In Stephenville, Texas. There's the fastball. It's good for strike 1. Last time out, Peacock struggled a little bit in controlling his fastball, but went to the secondary pitches, and he did well, giving up 2 earned runs in 5 2/3 innings and an 8-3 win over Texas. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Marty Foster's the home plate umpire for this game. Brock Holt really has taken on that role of Mr. Everyman, moving around to various positions for this Boston club. He's had a big series with 5 hits. In the dirt for ball 2, and it's 2 balls, 1 strike. So Holt with a .360 on base average, trying to get something started for the Sox. Each of the Astros starting pitchers for the first 2 games of this series has allowed 11 hits. John Farrell, 47 straight years without 50 losses before the break. He's the manager who is at the helm when the Red Sox do have more than 50 losses before the All-Star break. They are 42 and 52. Not exactly what was on the drawing board for the Red Sox coming off a World Series title last year. So that was a major league record for years between the 50 L's before the break. That's upstairs. And the count runs to 3 balls, 2 strikes on Brock Holt. Recently, though, the Giants of last year, coming off a world championship, had 50 losses before the break. And the '98 Marlins did that same thing.
What's a manager to do when his team just stops hitting?
Boy, that's the age-old question, isn't it? Fly ball deep to right field. Out of room, Grossman. That's a leadoff homer for Brock Holt. 1-0 Boston. Holt hitting number 3 of the season. What a big series. 6 for 10 here. And a return to Houston.
He has been thoroughly impressive with the bat. He's been able to handle breaking balls, slice them to left field, and now showing the kind of power you wouldn't anticipate from a little guy like this.
Coco Crisp hit a leadoff homer on Peacock back on the 5th of April.
It's that 3-2 fastball, and we were talking about it yesterday. When you enable teams that like to watch a lot of pitches to get deep in the count and they know it's going to be a fastball count, yeah, you just you turn them into much better hitters.
Upper deck. That was the 5th of April 2013 when Crisp hit that home run on Peacock. Dustin Pedroia is at 0-2 in the count, so there's some thunder right from the get-go for the Red Sox. And Pedroia at .278 with 4 homers, has driven in 36. He is 2 for 8 with 2 runs batted in this weekend. And he lines one past the diving Marwin Gonzalez off his glove and on into left field. Pedroia hooks that one for 2 consecutive hits for the Red Sox.
And this is one of those good pitches that gets hit for a hit. Breaking ball, you see Pedroia just go down and kind of lay the barrel of the bat on the ball. Nearly impossible play at shortstop for Margot. Dustin Pedroia has done this a few times through his career.
Big Papi David Ortiz has 2 hits, one of them a homer in this series. 20 homers this season, 62 driven in, and a .258 average. He's driven in 4 runs in the 2 games so far. It's down and in, ball 1 to Ortiz. Ortiz, a .424 career hitter against Houston pitching. Now he's hit at least 20 home runs in all 13 major league seasons from '02 through this year. The only major leaguer to accomplish that. And he's 1 home run away from tying the legendary Red Sox outfielder and first baseman Carl Yastrzemski for 36th place on the all-time major league list. That's called a strike by Marty Foster.
Nice changeup, and boy, it's tough when you go out there. You've got a game plan. If you're Brad Peacock, here's the way I want to go after the guys. 2 hitters in, you're trailing 1-0. You've allowed a home run and a base hit, and it messes with your mind. Now what do I do? What is adjustment A?
Inside for a ball. 2-1. Castro will go out for a chat.
Castro wanted that changeup away outside corner. A second straight change wound up on the inside part of the plate to David Ortiz. Just yanks it, much like a fastball that gets yanked. That ball is deep in the hand. There's the changeup grip, and yanks it to that glove side.
Mike Napoli's on deck. In the dirt. Now 3-1.
And something gets out of kilter when you drive a fastball like that straight into the plate. But I would contend a lot of it, if not all of it, comes from the fact that, again, 2 hitters in, you're allowing the Red Sox to swing the bats very well.
Ortiz 2 for 2 against Peacock, who has faced the Red Sox only once previously in his career. He lost that game, gave up 5 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings last year. Ground ball goes foul. 3-2 to Ortiz.
And again, Castro wanted the fastball on the outside edge, and it came back toward the heart of the plate.
The home run by Holt is something John Farrell would like to see happen a lot more. It's their 68th long ball. They're next to last in the American League in hitting homers. It's the fewest they've hit through 94 games since the '93 season. Pedroia takes off. It's popped up behind the plate. Castro back watching it go behind the screen. Well, this Red Sox team really scuffling for runs. Has been outscored by opponents by 49 runs this season. It has the lowest slugging percentage in the American League, .368. Red Sox are 14-4 against the Astros in all-time play. Houston will be going to Boston for a 4-game series in mid-August. On 3-2, here goes Pedroia with ball 4 being dealt. And the first 3 Red Sox have reached. 2 men on for Mike Napoli now. And Brent Strom will go to the mound. This is the unusual game, being the final game before the All-Star break as far as managing a pitching staff. In a way, you might be able to say it's one of those Johnny Holstaff games, although there are pitchers Will Porter would not use on this day. Still, starting pitchers are in play, those who have not pitched in the last day or 2, in case they are needed in a game like this. In case it would drag on to extra innings or something like that, Ash.
Kind of a postseason situation for a manager where, and it happens in the postseason where the skip really doesn't have to say anything, but he'll go around and say, hey, look, are you ready? If you're one of the starters, can you pitch for me today if we need an inning or 2? And yeah, it's that type of a day.
Now 2 on, nobody out. Mike Napoli bats. Napoli 1 for 4 in yesterday's game. .265, 10 homers, 34 runs batted in. He looks at it, and it's ball 1 to him.
Just not releasing the ball correctly. That yank job has happened multiple times now to the glove side of Brad Peacock.
Yeah. Red Sox accumulated 12 hits Friday night, winning 8-3, and 13 hits yesterday, losing 3-2. They've been getting on. 2 balls, no strikes. As a team, they've hit just .239 with runners in scoring position this year. Napoli returning to Boston after a 23-homer, 92 RBI season last year. He was a free agent who was re-signed.
Dangerous hitter, big run producer, but also a guy that if you can make that one good pitch and get the ground ball, you can get the double play.
2-1 now. Red Sox have beaten the Astros in 10 of their last 12 meetings. Boston has a 7-4 record here at Minute Maid Park. Three and one. It's a real dilemma here for Brad Peacock. A lot of pitches just simply are not working for him very well at all. Not that close to the strike zone at this early stage of the game.
Love to know what the warm-up session went like, because sometimes you can have a great warm-up session, come in with all the confidence in the world, and this happens in the first.
That would be puzzling.
And then there are the days that go completely the other way. How many times I've been with a pitcher who said he comes in and he says, I've got nothing today, we better manufacture something, and get to about the 7th, 8th inning and he's throwing a shutout.
That is on appeal, a strikeout. Napoli started down toward first, but he had been rung up by Rob Drake for out number 1.
That's just a fastball yanked down and away again. That bat starts, and it's so tough to hold it back. I don't care how strong you are, and the bat goes out to and through the front of the plate. That's a good call down at first.
Anthony Bass is getting up in the bullpen, starting to throw for Houston now with Daniel Nava, the batter. There's Bass working. He's just begun his efforts. Nava at .232 with 2 homers has driven in 10.
You know, and there's that same pitch again. The adjustment appears to be impossible at the moment for Peacock to make. It is not a confidence builder, by the way, when in the first inning, 3 hitters in, you got the bullpen throwing behind you.
Nava 2 for 5 on Friday night. Did not play in yesterday's game. He looks at that pitch, and it's 2-0.
Here's the deal. Nava right there, likely, like a number of Red Sox hitters, taking all the way. And so you throw the curveball. It can't be that good one that you get the little half swing on. It has to be one that you throw for a called strike.
It's 3-0. The Red Sox have seen the most pitches among all major league teams, 14,598 coming into this game.
Peacock is already throwing from the third base side of the rubber. That should give him his best chance to stay away from that pitch that he keeps yanking to Castro's right. But it's not working. And there we go.
3-1 now. Jackie Bradley Jr. on deck. Red Sox have walked 333 times this year. That's tied for second in the majors. Here's where he sets up on that third base side.
And through the course of the season, he has used both sides. But right now, no doubt trying to solve that.
Boy, hit by the pitch. Now the bases are loaded. And nothing is going well for Brad Peacock. He just cannot find where to release the baseball to get it in the strike zone or close enough to it for a hitter to swing at it.
Was there any evidence of this in the bullpen? Hard to say again, but when that happens, when you're trying to hit the other corner, something is seriously flawed.
Now Jackie Bradley Jr. comes up with the bases full. 1 out in the inning. He's had a nice series, going 4 for 8, scoring twice. Batting average .227, 1 homer, 25 runs batted in for Bradley. Now Castro will stroll out to the mound. This may be an effort to give more time to Anthony Bass.
And if you're Brad Peacock, you know that. You're keenly aware what's going on right here. This isn't a message at the mound. This is buying time. And so you're scuffling. You're trying to figure out, what do I do to right now turn this around?
Well, the threat is immediate here for Brad Peacock staying in this game. Xander Bogaerts is on deck. Now Bo Porter is coming out, and he may have decided to make a move right here and now. Yes, he has, because that's necessary with the earlier trip in this inning by the pitching coach Brent Strom. It's going to be a very short day for Brad Peacock. 27 pitches, 14 balls, 13 strikes.
I don't think Brad's too pleased right now with himself or with the decision.
Anthony Bass is on his way with the score. Red Sox 1, Astros nothing. Back in a moment. Out in the top of the first inning, and Brad Peacock is out of the game after 1/3 of an inning. That's the shortest start since Jared Cozart went 1/3 at Oakland April 18th this year. In that case, he gave up 7 earned runs and was tagged for a couple of homers. So now the change has been made with Anthony Bass taking over to work to Jackie Bradley Jr.
You want to know what the definition of frustration can be? In this game, you worked 5 days getting ready for that next start, and you're putting in everything you can. You're watching video to be prepared for that first hitter, let alone the first inning. And then this happens.
Bradley looks at it. It's ball 1 from Bass. Now that's a shocker. Bass, 26 years old, from Dearborn, Michigan, coming in with the bases loaded and 1 out, needing to throw strikes. It's on the ground to Altuve's left. He gets it to Marlon Gonzalez. Then the tap. Then the Singleton. How about that for first inning relief? Anthony Bass throws 2 pitches and gets 2 outs on one of them, limiting the damage to 1 run, 2 hits, 2 men left, and it's 1-0 Boston. lead. Now the Astros come up. And here's the Bo Porter lineup card brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jose Altuve has sizzled up to the All-Star break. He leads it off at second base. It's Jason Castro, the catcher. The DH is George Springer, who bats third. He's followed by left fielder Chris Carter, first baseman John Singleton, third baseman Matt Dominguez, right fielder Robbie Grossman, center fielder Enrique Quique Hernandez, and shortstop Marwin Gonzalez.
Right-hander Clay Buchholz goes to the mound for the Red Sox, 29-year-old. And Clay Buchholz has had his ups and downs in the big leagues. Last year, how good was he? 12-1, a 1.74 ERA, and a total nightmare so far this year. 3-5 with a 6.11. So Clay Buchholz, a very slow worker, now will try to take advantage of this 1-0 lead.
He's from Nederland, Texas, east of Houston. Went to Angelina Junior College. Third-round pick of Boston in '05. And it's Jose Altuve leading it off. Altuve takes his first offering. It's good for strike one. A 6-game hitting streak for Altuve. He leads the American League in hitting by 1 point over Adrian Beltre of Texas. .339, has 2 homers, 27 runs batted in, .377 on base average. That's foul back, and the first player to reach 130 hits and 40 steals prior to the All-Star break in Major League history. That is impressive. Bob Watson will join us later in the game today. He made the presentation to Altuve of that special bat before the game today. Altuve breaking his club record for hits before the All-Star break. That's called strike 3. Wow. Out number 1 for Buchholz.
Wait a minute. I thought guys with reputations didn't get calls like this on them. This is the leading hitter in the league right here. And, well, if you're going to call the high strike, that's in there.
Yeah, you could be fooled a little bit by that mid movement. He missed the target by quite a bit. But that is immaterial when it comes to judging the strike zone. Now Jason Castro, he's put together a 6-game hitting streak, .231, 8 homers, 36 driven in for Castro, 3 for 9 with a homer in this series. Bounces one to the right side. Pedroia on over to Napoli. 2 quick outs for Buchholz. Buchholz has had a left knee problem, a sprained knee. You talked about his glittering numbers from last year. At 1.74 ERA, got plenty of folks' attention last year. And went on into postseason play with an ERA of 0 in the World Series. George Springer faces him now. DHing today because he's sore. .235, 19 homers, 50 runs batted in. He probably wanted to play the outfield, but his manager decided it would be better for him to rest those legs. There's ball 1.
There's the same pitch that was called strike 3 on Altuve, apparently called high on Springer. Go figure.
It's probably a little early in the game for us to figure much of anything. It's been a rather different kind of start so far. That one floats in high, and it's a 2-ball, no strike count to Springer.
Buchholz, you can see the body language like, wait a minute, is that a strike or not? Can I go there? It's a strike on Jose Altuve at 5'6" maybe, and
mask high, right?
Yep. Sometimes even bottom of the mask, and they'll call it high.
Broken bat. It goes out to the shortstop. Stephen Drew with the play for a quick first for Buchholz and a 1-0 Red Sox lead after 1.
2nd. Let's talk about in-game live over at CSNHouston.com. That's where you can really just delve into the statistics like the matchups between the hitter and the pitcher. You can also vote for your player of the game because we're showing your top choice on TV afterwards on Astros Postgame Live. Okay, time for our Twitter question, and with the All-Star break coming up, obviously there is a lot of All-Star festivities going on, whether it's the Home Run Derby, whether it's the game itself, the Futures game, whatever. What is your favorite part about all those festivities? Tweet me at HoChenCSN and please explain yourself because I'm reading the very best tweets on TV. Guys?
Thanks, Howard. He is our MLB/NBA guru. He's keeping an eye on the NBA free agency situation for us today as it unfolds. We go to the 2nd inning. Xander Bogaerts, with Boston leading 1-0, carries a .237 average into the batter's box. 6 homers. He's driven in 21. Strike 1 to Bogaerts, who is 2 for 8 in this series. Brad Peacock throwing 27 pitches, 13 of them strikes, went 1/3 of an inning, giving up 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 1 hit batter. Bass has come in throwing strikes, and it's 0-2 for Anthony, who last pitched in the series in Anaheim July 6th, 6 days ago. That's in the air, foul. Nonetheless, even though he's had plenty of rest, to get the call in the 1st inning with 1 out has to be a bit unusual for a relief pitcher.
Plenty of rest can translate to strong. It can also translate to not very sharp, but that's not the case right now.
Thinking back to interleague play many years ago, Ash, you might have been with us broadcasting then, 1 and 2. Scott Ellerton was starting in Kansas City on a very hot day, and he took issue with some ball and strike calls. He got tossed out of the game in the 1st inning. Might have been on the first batter of the game.
I want to say he hung a breaking ball and hit a batter.
Wow.
That's my recollection of him getting tossed in the 1st inning, and it was a breaking ball, and there was no history that anybody was aware of, but he got tossed.
What a memory.
Well, he was my boy.
Okay. Well, so on that day, which was a 90-some-odd degree day, Ron Vallone came out of the bullpen in the 1st inning, and he dealt for something like 6 innings in long relief, didn't he?
I believe he did, and that was kind of what Ron Vallone did. He was uncanny with his ability to come long out of the bullpen or make that occasional spot start.
That is certainly a bonus when somebody can come out of the pen in the 1st inning and do that.
Now, I hope I'm recalling the same game that you are bringing up, but that was the 1st inning ejection scenario I remember.
That was it. Of course, you know, the assumption would be, the way the bullpen has been used, that probably just about everyone would be available on this day. In the dirt, and it's 3-2. So that makes it really one of those games that is set apart from all others. The last day of the season, certainly if the team's in contention, it would be similar to this.
Tell you what happens. A number of pitchers will start a ball game with their tennis shoes on, no spikes, and then this happens.
Walk to Bogaerts.
And immediately eyes get big. They go back up to the clubhouse, put spikes on, and realize that they're potentially at any point could find themselves in the game.
Yes. Stephen Drew comes to the plate with a .135 average, 2 homers, 5 runs batted in. Still trying to find that form he had last year with the Red Sox after signing late as a free agent. He found it in a doubleheader against Baltimore a week ago. He homered in both ends. But still, with that low batting average, it's been rough sledding for Stephen Drew. He looks at this, and it's ball 1.
Imagine what Stephen Drew feels like after watching Brock Holt play shortstop yesterday and the way he's been swinging the bat.
Here's that game, and Phil Boudreau has called up the box score. Scott Ellerton, no innings pitched, faced 1 batter. Ron Vallone got the win, 5 innings in relief, gave up 3 hits, 1 run. This one hits the umpire and gets by, so that allows the advance of Bogaerts.
Those last two pitches, just like the affliction that Brad Peacock had in the first inning. And there you see Castro saying, let's go. You start to wonder, is it me? Is there an issue back here? Setting up on one corner, and there's the pitch to the other.
Rule to pass ball.
Tough pass ball. So you've ever been back there and realize how tough that heater is when it gets on you that quickly, other side of the plate.
6th pass ball for Castro this year. That's a ball, and that makes it 3-0 to Drew.
I don't know if Boots has the ability to see if that was a hit batter on that first batter of that ball game.
He does. He'll get it for us.
Saying his abilities are beyond those of most mortals anyway?
Yes. They transcend the abilities of most people in this world. Yes. Ray Sanchez was hit by a pitch.
Well, you can't hit Ray Sanchez. Not in that day anyway.
Strike call. And in the top of the first, leading off the game, Craig Biggio had been hit by a pitch by Chad Durbin.
Okay, well, there you go.
Now we're peeling back some layers.
Okay.
And also Julio Lugo, who was batting second in that game, was hit by a pitch.
So there you go. That hanging breaking ball that got the leadoff man. Just can't pull that off.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall if a warning had been thrown out there, but
let's hope not.
Yeah, no kidding.
Gotta let the players take care of business, right?
Oh, not in the day and age of warnings.
Jeff Nelson was the home plate umpire that day, by the way. Broken by Looper. Altuve can't stop it from being a hit. Stop sign at third. Here's the throw from Grossman cut off. And it's first and third on the single by Drew. Nobody out with Vasquez coming up.
Jeff Nelson did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express that night before. A little broken bat splat into right field.
Bogaerts coming around third. Got the stop sign from Brian Butterfield, the coach there, with nobody out in the inning. The Red Sox have their number 9 hitter, Christian Vasquez, who got his first 3 major league hits in his second major league game here Friday night. He's 3 for 7 since being promoted from AAA, and he has 3 runs batted in. He's a good friend of Kike Hernandez, and Kike growing up in Puerto Rico. Christian, 23 years old.
Talking about the Astros center fielder?
Yeah. There's strike one. Well, the Astros center fielder is playing over in right center right now.
And playing quite shallow, I might add.
Yes, he is. He wants to rob his buddy of a hit. And then turn out to be starting a double play with a runner at third. Bogaerts trying to score.
I don't like the chances of getting to Towles Hill on a fly ball from there. Kike's shown he can do everything, so I retract.
Drew attracts the throw there at first base. First and third, nobody out. Red Sox are next to last in steals with 30. They've been caught 20 times. Terrible stolen base percentage after being great last year in the stolen base percentage. Ground ball to short. Marlin to Jose. On over to John. Double play with the run scoring to make it 2-0. So no RBI for Vasquez.
Well, the double play has certainly been the Astros' friend to this point. But you can't just keep putting men on base and having the Red Sox not get on the board. Boy, that was routinely done.
So 2 in 2 innings for the Astros in the double play department. And for Boston, it's a repeat scenario of what has happened far too many times for Red Sox fans. 89 times this year they've grounded into double plays. This is their 93rd game. 95th game, rather. Brock Holt, the batter. Holt homered on a 3-2 pitch leading off the game. There's ball 1 to him.
This little man's been a stud in this series.
Done a lot of things well, hasn't he? It's a little man series on display.
Might be a little man's year when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Well, Bo Porter was asked about Jose Altuve again, and that happens on a daily basis. And he said, well, how much time do you have? To the questioner. And then he said, we call him big guy. Or I call him big guy, Jose Altuve. The little men are playing big. 2 balls and a strike.
I wonder how long it's going to be before he's called captain.
Well, he's done some amazing things, hasn't he?
Really a terrific player. I've gone way past the point of thinking, well, this little guy plays the game quite well.
3-1.
Are we seeing another cross-up right there? No, we're seeing the shoes and then the body of one of the game's great players. Let's see, I don't know if that's a cross-up or if a sinker suddenly happened.
They hit to the right side.
Wow. Who is this guy?
Brock Holt, 2 for 2 in this game.
He's the left-handed version of Jose Altuve.
It's not a lucky series for him, but he is 7 for 11. Is he headed for Las Vegas over the All-Star break? Numbers like that. Dustin Pedroia is up next.
If he comes out of the game at this stage, I would bet on it. There you go.
Pedroia singled to left. That's 4 hits for the Red Sox. And it's ball 1. This day has a little different feel for us because we're watching that stat on Altuve, who leads the league in hitting by 1 point over Beltre of the Rangers. The Rangers play later. It's kind of like the last day of the season to see if Altuve will be leading in batting average at the break. That's ball 2 to Pedroia.
There are some fellas having a great season the first half. Altuve, Beltre, Cano at 334.
Yeah.
Lonnie Chisenhall is in the mix at 328. Same number as Victor Martinez. Those are terrific numbers.
And the throw goes to first from Bass, not caught by Singleton. If Altuve does lead the American League in hitting, he would join Ichiro. We see that throw getting out of his mitt. And they would be the only 2 players since 1957 to lead their league in all 3 categories at the break: hits, steals, batting average. Altuve and Ichiro, if he can do it. Chop foul. You were looking up some Ichiro numbers.
I was. I pulled away, but I can kind of summarize a bit. In the year that Ichiro had the 262 hits and hit 372, something like that year, he had only 121 hits in the first half. I believe it was only in the 85 game range. I'll look these numbers up again. But he had a 420 something second half that year.
That is impressive.
It might have been the 321 batting average in that first half, and I'm not sure on the total number of hits, but what a second half he put together.
When you showed me, I wrote down 119 hits and 21 steals.
There you go. Those are the numbers.
Okay.
So obviously well short of what Altuve's done.
Especially the steals.
Yeah.
41 steals at the All-Star break.
Had somebody said Altuve has set the new record with the numbers you've thrown out, my first thought would have been, well, what about Ichiro in one of his big years?
Apparently that's a yawner for Jose.
Well, hope it's a routine through the years.
Pitch to Pedroia is high, ball 3. 3-1. Ortiz on deck. The Astros have the youngest roster in the majors here at the All-Star break. They average 26.8 years. A lot of the players say they're just going to stay right here in Houston. Diving, Marlon Gonzalez got his glove on it, on through into left field. He scampers after it. And Holt gets to second on the single by Pedroia. Pedroia's 2 for 2.
Yeah, second time he's put one right here. Second time that Marwin Gonzalez has made a great diving effort at it. And this game is not picking up any pace whatsoever. Inability of the Astros pitchers anyway to get into and stay in the strike zone.
David Ortiz drew a walk in the first inning. 2 men on, 2 outs for Ortiz, who homered in the 4th yesterday. Then in the 5th, he grounded into a double play. Brett Oberholzer was on the mound. Brett Strom went out for a visit before that. There's a strike, and according to one of the stories after the game, Obi said Strom told him, throw him a changeup. I guarantee you he'll swing at it. He did, and a 4-6-3 double play was what followed.
Now that's the kind of information you want on the hill.
Nice job by Obi yesterday. Got a no decision, but gave up 2 runs in 6 1/3 despite allowing 11 hits. The Ortiz homer and 10 singles. Boston stranded 9 in the loss yesterday. Ortiz takes it for a ball. Ortiz has magnificent numbers with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. 394 is his batting average.
Just an addendum to those Ichiro numbers we were talking about. In that great 2004 season when he had 262 hits, hit 372, he stole only 36 bags that year. For me, that's surprising.
It is. That's upstairs again, and it's 2-1. Altuve is out in right field on this shift on Ortiz. Anthony Bass, since he came back from the disabled list, this is the 4th outing he's had, and the longest one previously, 1 2/3 here against Seattle July 2nd. That's down and in for another ball, and it's 3-1. Anthony has not been considered a long man this year in the scheme of things for the Astros. His longest outing was 3 innings here against Kansas City, April 17th. He didn't give up a hit or a run in that one, throwing 29 pitches. He's thrown 33 pitches so far. This ties the highest pitch count he's had in a game this year. In the air to center field, Kike Hernandez moves in for it and puts it away. And in the 2nd inning, the Red Sox settle for 1 run on 3 hits. They leave 2. They're up 2-0.
to the bottom of the second. Well, if you're looking to host an event, Champions Pavilion provides a private space for you and your guests and great seats to enjoy the game. You'll get an experience that your group is sure to remember out there. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or email groupsales@astros.com. Guys, back up to you.
Thank you, Bart. It's 2-0. The Red Sox lead it. The Astros come up in the bottom of the second inning. Chris Carter's on a career-high 8-game hitting streak. And there's ball one to Chris. At 204, he has 19 homers, 40 runs batted in. And returning to left field, he has not played that position much. Primarily at DH this year. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count to Carter, who has 6 home runs in the month of July to lead All-American League players. He had the game winner in yesterday's game. That was a hit up the middle in the bottom of the 8th inning. Give the Astros the 3-2 win. Shortstop gloved it. Couldn't make a play. It's 2-1. We were joking about the infield hits he's had in his career. That was the 3rd he's had this year. But he said he was just trying to hit the ball up the middle. And that's what worked out very well for Chris.
Yeah, the real key on that play was Springer going so hard into second.
It sure was. He lines into the shift, and the shortstop Drew has it 1 out. Yeah, George Springer was able to slide into second and beat that play. A reminder now, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller time later in today's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. 2-0 Red Sox. John Singleton is the batter. Singleton with 6 homers, 21 runs batted in. Has a 188 batting average. Rough day yesterday. Golden sombrero, 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts. Strike one for Buchholz. Singleton had a big series in Texas coming into this one. But he's 0 for 8 against Boston. Shoots a line drive to right field. Holt coming in, sliding with the catch. Holt with a very big day so far. 2 hits, including a homer. Now a sliding play in right.
3 games is not a whole lot to determine who the really good players are. But in these 3 games, I would say Brock Holt has been extremely impressive in every phase of the game. This is a guy that played shortstop the other day.
Matt Dominguez at 239 has 11 homers. He's driven in 39. And strike one for Clay Buchholz. 61 and 38 is his career record. It's 0-2. Buchholz had allowed a .312 batting average this season in 13 starts coming into this game. There was a quote from him in a preview of this game talking about the Astros being an aggressive team. And he was well aware of that. And his response was something like, well, that's fine, because with the way I have movement on my pitches, contact is good, but it's hopefully not going to be solid contact. Not a big strikeout guy.
Well, contact can be a pitcher's friend. Yeah. Quite frankly, I mean, you need to have one of those days where everything is hit to an infielder or outfielder for that matter. But when you can get bats out in front or tardy a bit and you get those weak shots to your defensive players, then you've really got something.
That's what he was speaking to. Last year he was a good strikeout pitcher. He had 96 in 108 innings. For his career, though, he wouldn't rank up there with the leaders. 567 punch-outs and 744 innings coming into this season. Now 3-2. And Dominguez needs one more homer to tie Sean Berry for 8th on the Astros list of homers by third baseman in their history. That's strike 3 called, and that is 6 straight set down by Buchholz, and a 2-0 Red Sox lead after 2.
Buchholz has really got it going for the Red Sox, and they lead it 2-0. It's now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag CSNHFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. This brought to you by our friends at AT&T. You know, hopefully something tasteful. You know, that'd be good, right, Brownie?
That's what we're all about, Bart. Yeah, that's the contest. 2-0 ball game. We go to inning number 3. Mike Napoli's the batter. He struck out earlier. Shoots one right through the shift between short and second. And he jumps all over that first pitch here in the 3rd inning for his first hit of the day.
Yeah, he's all over this leadoff fastball and puts it through that straight up shortstop position. The Red Sox are swinging the sticks today.
Yeah, they take a lot of pitches, but he was ready to swing that time. Daniel Nava was hit by a 3-1 pitch back in the 1st inning. Dave Justy has the record for the longest relief outing in Astros history. 9 innings in relief. It was actually for the Colt 45s in their first year, 62. Ball 1 to Nava. He came into a game on May 30th in the 6th inning against the Cubs. The game went 14. He went the final 9 and got the win. There's that famous game for the Red Sox. Babe Ruth was pitching for them, and he got into it. So I think he walked the leadoff man, and then he started arguing with the home plate umpire. He got tossed. Ernie Short came in and pitched 9 innings in relief. Under the glove of Singleton, on through into right field. Nava's aboard, and Napoli reaches 3rd. Singleton just threw his head back when he realized he did not have the glove low enough to stop that ball from going into right field.
And there have been some ups and downs for John Singleton as a first baseman so far. That's a double play ready to happen right there. That takes the first baseman right towards second. You pick that up and fire onto your shortstop. You got yourself a double play.
Ruled an error. His 6th of the year. Now runners at 1st and 3rd. That's Jackie Bradley Jr. Bounced into a 4-6-3 double play to end the Boston 1st inning. Ever read that kid's book about the character who had a no good, very bad day?
Probably somewhere along the line.
This game taking on any of those undertones to you?
I think it could. I think there's a I don't know if it's a child's book being written right now, but yeah, this has just been a rough one, and yet it's only 2-0.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it. A shot into center field, make it 3-0 on the RBI single by Bradley. And here's Nava going first to third on the single. So the Red Sox square up some balls here, and now Bogaerts will be coming.
Yeah, being sharp as a pitcher doesn't just mean throwing strikes, because Anthony Bass is throwing enough strikes, but quality of strikes really not there right now. And so on the pitching side, it's been a very rough one for the Astros. For the Red Sox, kind of a revelation. I would imagine John Farrell will talk to the troops either at the end of the day today or as they come back for the second half to say that's the way we need to swing the bats.
Bogaerts takes a look at it. It's ball one. Bogaerts walked and came home on a double play ball in the second inning.
I was thinking about that Babe Ruth game that you mentioned. Was that a 27 batters faced game?
Yeah, it was. He was perfect. Ernie Shore was perfect in relief for 9 innings. And took over, of course, after Babe Ruth had walked the leadoff man. So it wasn't a perfect game. But
no, yeah. Did they get a double play in that first inning and 27 batters were faced?
There was a caught stealing or picked off. It wasn't a double play. Runner going, fly ball, right center field. Kike Hernandez back. Makes the catch. Here's the tag at third. Nava will waltz home, and it's 4-0 Boston. Sac fly for Bogaerts. 22nd run batted in for him.
Yeah, just a very small thing on this play, the sac fly. Kike Hernandez doesn't catch a ball where there's something else going on and just routinely catch it and have nothing else playing in his head. He was thinking about firing to first base. He was going to try to get another out on this play. And it's part of what I see in watching Kike Hernandez. Wherever he's playing defensively, he has max effort going all the time.
Stephen Drew is the batter. He singled to right earlier.
Watch him as he makes the play. He's setting the feed and getting ready. He wants to make a throw back to first. It's not presented to him, so he makes the smart play. But he is always affording himself the opportunity.
Now he's swung around to left center field for Drew. Drew rips one. Cardinals Singleton now. He goes to first base for the 3 unassisted double play, doubling off Bradley. The Red Sox come up with 2 runs on 2 hits with an error. And in the middle of the third inning, they have a lead of 4-0.
Painter's tape, Scotch Blue. See what you can do. We're talking Ted Williams, and you can't get enough Teddy baseball at any point. But 1941 season where the Red Sox hit 406, 37 bombs, 120 ribbies. Well, just astounding what this guy did with that great swing of his. And he did it consistently. Spent some years in the wars and wanted to be known as the greatest hitter of all time, and he very well may be.
Well, considering that those years that were taken away from him because he volunteered to serve in World War II for 2 seasons he did not play at that time, and then during the Korean War his 2 more seasons were shortened, and in one he hardly played at all because he was a pilot again in that war. So considering almost 4 seasons in his prime were taken away from him, yeah, he could have had some ridiculous numbers.
Joe DiMaggio was in that same kind of a scenario, and some of the game's greatest spent some time away from the game.
Yeah, when you think about that, of course, it was a totally different time, but that's just not probably ever going to affect the game again. And yet, some of those guys' numbers deserve to be considered in that light of what they missed in order to serve their country.
500+ home runs for Ted Williams with that amount of time away from the game that you talk about in the heart of his career.
Now Robbie Grossman leads it off, 4-0 Boston. Houston batting in the 3rd. Strike 1 for Buchholz to a 180 hitting Grossman with 3 homers, 13 runs batted in for Robbie. He's 1 for 5 in this series. Had a hit and a walk yesterday. Had a couple of walks Thursday night. And loops this one to left field, shallow. There's a hit in front of Nava. And the Astros get their first base runner on a Grossman single.
Well, maybe a little flair can get something going with the bats. Yeah, the numbers are horrible for Buchholz this year, but he's a guy very capable. You would think at some point of turning into his form from last year and from previous years.
Kike Hernandez said today before the game he had played in 40 straight games for Oklahoma City before he was called up. 314 for Kike, 1 homer, 5 runs batted in, so he's ready for a break. Fouls it back with a good cut, strike 1. So 40 straight in the minors. Now he has not been out of the lineup since he arrived. That first game he came off the bench, but he's been a fixture in the lineup ever since. He reached base safely in each of his first 10 games after coming up July 1st. The only other player in Astros history who did that to begin his career was Jimmy Wynn, who was on base his first 12 major league games for the Colt 45s in '63.
I would say Kike has earned every start that he's made to this point.
0-2, and so he'll just chill out around Houston over the break and learn the city a little bit. But he does plan to play winter ball.
Some of these guys will be down here in the cage taking batting practice.
How many at-bats do you think he'll have this year, including winter ball? About 700.
Wow, that's intriguing.
That's a lot of baseball.
Well, including winter ball, you could pick up another 200+ at-bats there. Wow. 60 games, I think, roughly is what they play.
1 and 2. Well, it's a good opportunity to work on skills, and especially for a guy who plays multiple positions the way he does. Just refine what he needs to know about all those different positions. He said normally as the team travels around, he's just trying to get used to each ballpark the first time into a city that first day and check out the outfield walls and things like that for caroms. And even though he's been an outfielder, he has to be ready to play the infield. He played that great game at shortstop against the Angels. So as the season moves on then, and maybe the second and third games, he'll go out and take ground balls and keep those skills alive.
Started one of the sweetest and most difficult double plays of the year turned by the Astros this year.
That was a gem. Strikeout for Buchholz. That's number 3.
A lot of people talk about the mid-90s fastball and the curveball from Buchholz, and he's got good ones and a slider to go with it. This changeup at times has been, I think in some people's estimation, maybe his most effective pitch.
Buchholz was an all-star last year and also in 2010. In 2010 he was 17-7 with a 2.33 ERA. Marwin Gonzalez, 267, 4 homers, 11 runs batted in. Batting ninth today. Jose Altuve's on deck. Strike one for Buchholz. Buchholz has given up 6 earned runs in a game 4 different times. Today he retired the first 6. Last time out he gave up 4 runs in 7 innings, lost to the White Sox 4-0. So the early run support has not consistently been there for these Red Sox starters. No balls, 2 strikes. They're 10th in ERA for starting pitchers in the American League, 4.11. But when somebody other than John Lester and John Lackey is on the mound starting a game, the Red Sox record as a team is 19-37. Shot to right. Holt coming in. Now throwing to first. And safe. He had a shot at a double play there on Grossman.
Well, nice job by the umpires shifting around as the first base umpire moves out to watch the play in right field. Potential diving kind of a play. Second base umpire moves in and makes the call at first base. Marwin goes down and gets it and puts it on the barrel, but there's Brock Holt once again. If he had gotten rid of this baseball that prior step when there was a little mishandle, I think he gets a double play.
Looked like it. Good stretch by Napoli. Grossman got back just ahead of that throw. Now Altuve bats. He struck out looking in the first. So to first, diving back in. Vasquez has advertised his arm. Pretty much a pull hitter as far as where his hits have gone this year, Ash.
That's really intriguing. My initial response to watching Altuve last year was that it's kind of an off-field hitter. A lot of balls hit to right field. And he does have a lot of hits in that direction. But he stings the ball more than I realized initially, and a lot of that down the left field side. He'll also get his infield hits, and some of those mixed in on no doubt the left side there. As good as anybody I've watched this year with that slow chopper in the infield, getting out of the box and getting down the line.
Yes. He leads the American League in batting average, in hits, in steals, in 2-hit games, in 3-hit games, in multi-hit games. Also hardest to strike out and most infield hits, 21 infield hits.
And he simply loves to play the game. You know, you've got Jose Altuve, George Springer, Kike Hernandez, guys that have so much energy, ready to go every day they come to the yard. That's a very good thing for a club.
Stephen Drew tosses to Pedroia for the force play to end the third. No runs ahead and a man left. 4-0 Boston after 3.
Kids can join all the Astros fun this season with an Astros Buddies Kids Club membership. Catch all the baseball action, plus exclusive experiences and prizes throughout the season. Visit astros.com/buddies to register today.
We move to the fourth inning. It's 4-0. The Red Sox lead it. And 3 double plays in 3 innings for Astros pitching. They set the National League record with 7 double plays in a game. They're on a nice pace so far with Vasquez, Holt, and Pedroia due up in the fourth. Christian Vasquez bounced into one of those double plays. That was in the second inning. Anthony Bass took over in the first inning, and he got a double play ball on his second pitch. It was ball 1. Kike Hernandez well over in right center field again. That's where he's been playing his buddy from Puerto Rico. Breaking pitch misses, and it's 2 balls, no strikes for Anthony Bass.
What we saw a couple of days ago with Christian Vasquez at the plate is that he is really good hitting the ball sharply toward the right field side.
He's taken over for A.J. Pierzynski, sharing time behind the plate with David Ross, who started yesterday. Chops that one foul. 2 balls and a strike. The Red Sox had signed Pierzynski to a 1-year deal for a little bit more than $8 million. Designated him for assignment. And calling on this younger receiver now, who they feel could be around for a while with his defensive skills, especially his arm. Off the plate, and it's a 3-ball 1-strike count. Pierzynski has been known for his offense down through the years, but he was not providing that this year.
Vasquez with, as you say, Brownie, a very strong and accurate arm. Great footwork to go with it.
Chops this one slowly to shortstop. Marwin Gonzalez, good pickup. Brock Holt will follow. Holt has been sizzling all weekend.
Marwin's good. You know, to this point, he's been the backup infielder, that utility player that can play shortstop like it's his main spot. He's been good with the bat. Very valuable player. Will he find that? Well, he's got the chance right now to be the everyday shortstop. Can he take advantage? A lot of bat is needed.
Brock Holt looks at ball 1. He has a homer leading off the game and a single. Holt is listed at 5'10", 170. That one goes to left center field and loops in for a hit. Picked up by Chris Carter. Carter, by the way, starting in the outfield for the first time this year. Gets it back in. Holt is 3 for 3.
Getting to where I'm feeling like they ought to just motion Holt on base.
Yeah.
Why bother with the bat swinging formalities?
Carter has not started a game in the outfield since September 18th last year against Cincinnati. Dustin Pedroia is 2 for 2. 2 singles for Pedroia. Dexter Fowler's still on the disabled list, as is Alex Presley. Here at the break. Foul away for strike 1. And Dexter is going to continue to rest over the All-Star break. We'll see what happens later on in the week as play resumes in Chicago against the White Sox. That'll be Friday in Chicago. Team will travel on Thursday and work out that night. One ball, 1 strike. You and Blum are going to have your own private workout there in Chicago.
We're going to get the mics out and kind of loosen up the vocal cords.
Don't lose your skills over the break.
Don't want to pull anything at that point, though.
Well, it would be kind of a Rookie of the year battled in on Friday night at U.S. Cellular with big Jose Abreu of the White Sox and George Springer squaring off in that series.
It's a good call.
Line shot, Carter back. Carter with a catch on the warning track. Hard hit out number 2. Royal.
I wasn't sure we were going to see Chris Carter in the outfield at all this year.
Yeah.
And today's starting lineup was a bit surprising for me. Sure for you as well?
Yes, it was. Bull Porter comes out. 55 pitches for Bass. Ortiz will be the next batter, and he wants to go to the bullpen. So it's going to be Darren Downs to create this lefty-on-lefty matchup with the score. Red Sox 4, Astros nothing. Be right back. For Bull Porter after Anthony Bass goes 3 1/3 in relief of Brad Peacock. It is lefty Darren Downs who pitched Friday night 2/3 of an inning in this series, and in 29 games he's 1-1 with a 4.76 ERA.
Lefties righties, not a whole lot of difference for Darren Downs. He's been slightly more effective against the left-hand hitters. Yet to allow a homer this year.
Big Papi has walked and hit a fly ball to center. Altuve finds himself in right field every time Ortiz comes up. Downs gave up the 3-run double to Big Papi Friday night, coming in with a couple of men on base. Ground ball goes foul for strike 1. Boston winning that game 8-3 and leading here 4-0, trying to take the series. Baltimore Orioles have a very difficult schedule after the All-Star break. 26 straight games against teams playing 500 or better baseball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Boston will have a couple of series coming up against Toronto after the break. Baltimore currently leads by 3 games over Toronto, by 4 over the Yankees, by 9.5 over Tampa Bay and Boston. 1-2. It's been kind of a crazy few years for the Red Sox.
Not supposed to be able to slip that 90-mile-an-hour fastball by this guy.
No. Red Sox finished last in 2012, won it all last year. Now they're tied for last again in the AL East with Tampa Bay.
Bring back Bobby V.
There hasn't been a hue and cry for that.
No, I don't think I've heard a single. I haven't seen one of the signs anyway. Bobby V back in Japan?
We don't think so. In the air, the center fielder. P.K. Hernandez moves over to straightaway center for this one. For out number 3. No runs a hit and a man stranded. 4-0 Boston in the fourth.
The Astros will try to chip away at a 4-0 Boston lead. Hey, create memories, have fun, and enjoy a premium experience with an Astros luxury suite at Minute Maid Park. We'll create an experience your group is sure to remember. Call the Astros premium ticket line at 1-877-9-ASTROS to reserve your luxury suite today. Guys, back up to you.
Thanks, Bart. You're showing us all around the ballpark today. 4-0 Boston. Clay Buchholz with the lead. Jason Castro in the box to open the home fourth inning. He grounded out on the first pitch back in the first. Buchholz at 90 miles per hour. Let's flash back to Jason Castro yesterday. A homer and a triple for a catcher. Yeah, Alan Ashby did that June 4th, 1983 at the Reds. 2 homers and a triple, driving in 6. There have been 7 Astros catchers who have homered and tripled in the same game.
That's not even fair to bring that up. I think there were multiple pulled muscles by outfielders on my triple, by the way.
2 homers and a triple, 6 runs batted in.
Standard game, I think, Brownie.
Is that your best offensive showing?
That's all I got.
You guys won 13-0 that day.
I think, I'm trying to remember the pitcher's name. One of the Reds pitchers came up to the plate, picked up my bat, and took his good look at it like there's got to be something wrong with this bat. This guy couldn't possibly do that.
There was no cork discovered in your bat.
None that was found.
Is that to say that you ever used cork?
No, I never. You know what? I never even took batting practice with cork. And we did have some available, as it turns out.
Well, there's a single in the right center field. Yeah, that later resurfaced. And Castro's aboard. Gives him a 7-game hitting streak going to the All-Star break. Mike Scott overshadowed you with a complete game 4-hit shutout that day, they say.
Yeah, Mike Scott was really good. But Mike had been struggling, and so it was a really nice kind of a turnaround game for Mike. And as I recall, Larry Durker named him the player of the game, and I was, well, let's just say highly amused. I think Mike and I went out and played a little golf, and yeah, I was ready to punch him good.
So a complete game shutout trumps a 6 RBI game?
Apparently, yeah. All you have to do is shut the other guys down, apparently.
George Springer grounded out. There's strike 1 to George.
I think that was kind of the beginning of Mike Scott.
Was he throwing a split finger pitch that day?
I don't recall. I mean, I just remember I was angry at him, that's all.
All you remember is the 6 runs batted in that you had.
Yeah, you throw a meager little shutout and you're going to be the player of the game? Come on.
We have the details on your day.
Oh, dear. Details and my career, not a good thing.
You homered off Bruce Pereni
Really?
With a man on.
You know what? He had good stuff. I'm feeling better about myself right now.
And then you also homered off Ben Hayes.
Don't even remember Ben Hayes. Maybe there's a reason.
So in that game, you batted 7th, and you were 3 for 5.
That was a flawed lineup card right there.
6 runs batted in. You had a .519 slugging percentage after that game.
Well, you can only hope to contain him. What year was that?
83?
83.
It was Mike Scott's first win that year.
Actually, I think it would be another couple of years before he really became the dominant pitcher that we enjoyed so much.
So probably not on the split-fingered fastball.
Maybe not.
He had not run into Roger Craig at that point, right?
Roger had not made that fatal mistake of teaching the splitter to Mike.
Chris Carter, the batter. By the way, with your 13-0 win at Cincinnati, the game took 2 hours and 29 minutes.
Oh, that's the way you're supposed to play baseball, Brownie. See, when I jogged around the bases, I didn't style it and take all that time. I just sprinted, which was about the same speed as the guys that jog it now. But
Carter swings. Did you ever do the one flap down, Jeffrey Leonard?
No, I didn't. I didn't have that in my bag of tricks. In fact, I didn't actually have a bag of tricks to take out there with me.
What's the most ridiculous home run trot you can remember?
Well, wow. Who was the big first baseman with the Montreal Expos? Back in the probably 70s, was he with the Expos?
John Bacabella.
No, that's
he's
not
the
the
catcher.
one. Yeah.
I just wanted to say his name.
Yeah, everybody does. Every broadcaster needed to say John Bacabella at some point, I guess.
Yeah.
Willie Montañez.
Oh, yeah.
I think Willie used to have a pretty stylish trot.
He did. You know the old saying about him, there wasn't enough mustard in the world to cover that hot dog.
Yeah, that's right. Gary Maddox covered 2/3 or a third of the earth, and the other 2/3 were covered by water, and then there's the mustard comment. Yeah.
Well, with global warming, what would they say about Maddox today?
Well, oh no, did maybe his speed started this whole mess we're in?
We're in a mess, that's for sure. 1 and 2.
I played Pony League ball on the same team as Gary Maddox. Played high school ball with him. We played a lot of basketball together.
Still 1 and 2 to Chris Carter. You play with any other developing major leaguers?
Well,
coming along.
The guy that was actually the best, nobody knows about, Joe Levito, and he has passed away testicular cancer. But Joe was a phenomenal athlete, and yeah, he was the guy that we all kind of looked to. He was the second pick of the draft. It was back when they had the 2 drafts in a season, the winter draft, and he was picked by the Washington Senators. Ted Williams was the manager and said that Joe Levito was going to be the next Mickey Mantle. Switch hitter, great speed. He was a catcher with a great arm, but they turned him into a center fielder. Just, you know, one of those guys. Never panned out. Had injuries and whatever that came along. But he was the best that I ever played with as a youth. Brian Harper went to the same high school. An outstanding catcher and part of the Minnesota Twins World Championship teams.
Yeah. Broken bat hit for Carter into left center field. Things continue to go well for Chris Carter, and his career high hitting streak extends to 9 games.
I believe that's his second broken bat on the day. In each case, a little line drive, the other one lining out to shortstop. But you know what he's doing? He's handling some pitches right here. That's the changeup out in front, but with that nice short stroke that he's been employing, getting some hits.
Buchholz's velocity is down this year, but has been changing speeds well today. John Singleton ripped the line drive, but it was caught on a sliding catch by Brock Holt in right field back in the 2nd inning. 3 hits for the Astros, 8 for the Red Sox. Dominguez on deck. There's ball 1. So if Singleton can put one into flight, good ball game. place was electric yesterday with the Red Sox fans and the Astros fans going back and forth, cheering for their teams. A lot of energy in the building yesterday. Really good game to watch.
Got a great finish.
In the air, and the left fielder comes over for it. Nava. 2 outs. Or was it? Finish of that review play at first base. Double play to end it with Chad Qualls on the mound. And Dominguez struck out looking in the second.
I don't know if you'd have any reason to know this. Has any other game ended this year on a review?
I think it has, yes. Couldn't cite the instance for you, but I believe it has. The Astros have already surpassed their win total, as you know, from the first half of last season, with 40 wins. Last year, that club was 33 and 61 going into the break. This one gets by Vasquez, and the runners move off to second and third. Carter at second, Castro at third.
It's kind of a jammed heater in the ground. Didn't bounce far out in front of the catcher, but that glove comes up. You leave a little 5-hole, and it gets exposed at times.
1-0 now to Matt.
A couple of runs right here wouldn't hurt a bit.
A single would work for that. It's another high strike ball. 1-1.
I would say this pitch is a good 4 inches above a couple of pitches taken by George Springer that were called too high. I don't mind seeing the high strike called. It just needs to be consistent. In fact, I think it should be called 3-4 inches above the belt.
2-1. Well, that would change the pace of play, wouldn't it, if that were called a strike consistently?
Top of the strike zone. I mean, if you did it by the rule book, you would drastically change mindsets of guys on the field.
They would swing the bats. 2-2 now. Dominguez regretted that swing.
I wonder where along the line did umpires decide, no, that pitch above the belt is too high, I'm not going to call it a strike.
It wasn't from reading the rule book, that's for sure.
No.
To the buckles. He broke another bat, and he got the third out. That runs 2 hits, 2 men left in scoring position. After 4, it's 4-0 Boston.
4-0 as we head to the 5th inning, and it's time now for our fan of the game, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. And it was 75 years ago this month that the great Lou Gehrig gave his farewell speech at Yankee Stadium, having been diagnosed with a disease that later became known as ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. 2 years later, he lost his battle with that disease. And in conjunction with that, Major League Baseball and all 30 teams are helping raise awareness and money to help battle ALS this month. So today at the game, the Astros game, they have welcomed a couple of hardcore fans, Bill and Wyatt Hassel, who your dad brought you to many Astros games as a kid, didn't he?
Yeah, we grew up in LaGrange, is where I went to high school and then middle school. And the Astros used to have a program. If you made good grades, they give you discounted tickets. So during the summer, Dad would bring me out to the Astrodome, and we'd watch a couple games.
Pastor Bill, you having fun out here?
I am.
Good for you. Let's talk now about what's going on with Major League Baseball and raising funds and awareness to combat ALS. And what do you want fans to know about this effort?
Well, it's really great that Major League Baseball is doing this, because it is a very tough disease to have in your family. So it's nice that they're showing the support and putting money behind it to advance research and stuff. So it means a lot to me, obviously, personally.
Sure.
So it's a really great thing.
Well, we appreciate you guys being with us, and enjoy the rest of your game. For fans that want to know more or help contribute to this effort, you can go to mlbcommunity.org and find out more about what Major League Baseball is doing to help families like the Hassels. Guys, enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you. Go Astros.
Back to you.
All right, thanks, Bart. Mike Napoli, the batter. It's 4-0 Boston. Lefty Darren Downs on the mound. Napoli 1 for 2 in this game. Fouls it back. It's a 2-ball, 1-strike count to Napoli. Last year, the Astros did not win their 40th game until August 16th. Currently at 40-55. They're one of 4 40-win teams in the majors. And they're a game and a half in front of 5th place Texas in the AL West. He was losing again last night. 3 balls, 1 strike. The Rangers have the unfortunate assignment of playing the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim this weekend, and that club is rolling strongly. Angels are just a game and a half behind Oakland now, Ash.
A's have lost 2 straight games. That hasn't happened very many times.
Well, maybe Lloyd McClendon was a genius in pushing back King Felix to start game 1 of that weekend series. I kind of harpooned him for it the other day.
Or at the very least, it worked out for him.
Yeah, it did. That's the first walk for Darren Downs. Daniel Nava comes up. Nava a switch hitter batting right this time. So Oakland with a .617 winning percentage, still the class of Major League Baseball. Well, there are a lot of pretty low winning percentages among first place clubs. Dodgers .552 lead the NL West. Milwaukee .547 tied with St. Louis with that same percentage in the NL Central. Washington .543 in the NL East. So on down the line. Baltimore .548 in the AL East. A lot of mediocrity among division leaders here going into the break.
When you're talking Brewers, though, who are still tied for first with the Cardinals, they're 1-9 in their last 10. So they got off to a great start, and they maintained it very well until here just in the last 10 games.
They seemed to be reeling last night with the loss of Gene Sakura's 9-month-old son, the Dominican. And Gene had left the team, and that team seemed to be playing in fog, which is quite understandable last night. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, it's so difficult on not only the player and his family, but just all those around him.
I think it really puts a challenge on the players. If he actually had a big offensive night, is it appropriate to celebrate in the dugout under those circumstances?
Fair question. 2-1. Nava was hit by a pitch in the first inning, reached on an error and scored in the third. So for Anthony Baz, 3 1/3 innings today, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, no strikeouts. Brad Peacock, the starter, went 1/3 of an inning, giving up 2 hits, 1 run.
Your boy Phil Boudreau came through for us. There has been one other game along with yesterday's game between these two clubs ending on an umpire's review of a call.
Okay.
And that was May 7th, I believe. The Giants and the Pittsburgh Pirates tag play at the plate, and they stuck with the out call.
Boots can't talk to us right now. He's on camera.
Does that freezes all muscular possibilities at that point, I guess?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
He wants to be presented as a statue of himself. 2-2 to Nava. So only 2 games ending on reviews. Now 3 balls, 2 strikes. Astros have only won 1 series against the Red Sox. That was back in 08 here at Minute Maid Park. They'll visit Fenway for a 4-game series August 14th through the 17th. You guys can have your chowder.
Chowder.
We like the chowder. We were served up here.
Ooh, that was good.
By Chef Dominic.
It was good stuff. That lobster was outstanding.
Runner going. There's a shot into center field. Napoli continues on to third base on a single by Nava.
From the right side of the plate, that is a revelation of a moment for Daniel Nava. He has been just miserable this year. But you can't continue to pitch with 3-ball counts.
Yeah, he was ready for that one. Very much to his liking, and now it's first and third, nobody out. 9 hits for Boston. Jackie Bradley Jr. is the batter. He has one of those 9 hits. That was an RBI single in the third. Gonzalez and Altuve set up a double play depth, and there's ball 1. This first half, though, of the season, and of course we are well beyond the halfway point, but this portion of the season up to the All-Star break has produced so much outstanding pitching. And so little offense.
Just to be a little more specific on Daniel Nava, .097 the batting average against left-hand pitching. And boy, that had to feel mighty good to that switch hitter.
Yeah. We're going to check what the San Diego Padres team batting average is, Ash.
Go for it.
214. San Diego Padres are hitting 214.
Ooh. You're talking about their pitching staff, right?
No. Get this, only 3 teams since the live ball era began in 1920 have hit lower than 220.
Nice.
Halfway through the season. And it's been a while since the Texas Rangers hit 217 in 1972 at the halfway mark.
And they've got 2 teams below them in the standings.
Yeah, that's crazy. If the Padres, if their 214 batting average is the batting average at the end of the year, would be the lowest mark since the White Sox hit 211 in 1910.
That pitch was certainly callable right there. I don't know if the lack of command here leads to that call. I think that's kind of an excuse, but
well, the 85th Major League Baseball All-Star Games coming up at Target Field Tuesday, 7 p.m. in Minneapolis. And don't forget, if you're going to the game, wear your ski gear, because we're in a polar vortex up there at that time.
It's the middle of the summer, Brownie.
Okay. Well, the high might be 60 Monday. So it's not that cold.
Boy, that's just ideal.
You're right. That would be nice.
I'd love to battle through that for a while.
Brett Strom out to the mound with the bases loaded, nobody out. And there is bullpen action. A right-hander warming up. Xander Bogaerts will be the batter. And it's Josh Zeid getting loose. The Padres, of course, ran up against that no-hitter by Tim Lincecum. And they hit 171 in June.
Who did?
The Padres. That is the worst batting average of any team in a calendar month since the end of the dead ball era in 1920. Bogaerts the batter.
It's the beginning of the polar vortex era.
Maybe that was it. And this year, on average, there's been one shutout every 6.48 major league games. And that would beat the best mark set back in 1915. So it's been a historic season to this point for outstanding pitching. Clayton Kershaw, one of 3 starters with an ERA below 2. There are 8 with ERAs of 2.5 or better. Ground ball to third. Dominguez comes home for the force play. Castro to first. Double play. 5-2-3, and the Astros get their 4th double play in 5 innings.
You don't get a lot of double plays coming through home plate unless it's a ground ball back to the mound, but a very nice job and good strong throw by Jason Castro. Also, it gets set up well by Matt Dominguez as the throw is up. A lot of times you'll see a throw that's kind of down and the catcher has to reach down and make sure he makes the catch, but just well done.
And John Farrell's coming out to first base, where the out call was made by Rob Drake. We'll see if he loves the Drake or whether he will challenge this call.
That was good, Brownie.
Oh, well, I copied that from JD. He came out with that any number of times.
I think that review might go the other way.
Yeah.
See how John Farrell feels about it with a 4-0 lead, but
no challenge.
Yeah.
4 double plays in 5 innings.
I'm good with that.
You were good with that 229 back in 1983 with your 6 RBI game too. Stephen Drew singled and he lined out into a double play. Yesterday there was a big dedication at West End Park in downtown Houston of a plaque commemorating that is one of the first baseball fields in Houston.
Now let me ask you this question.
Yes.
And I'm sure you have the answer right there ready to go. When's the last game this year in Major League Baseball that has been played in under 2.5 hours?
Come on, Downsy, come on.
Come on, you can go ahead and speak up.
Oh. No, I don't have it.
229. I mean, really, doesn't that make you?
229. 1983. 21 years ago.
You know, the game's turned into a 329. Sort of a game.
That was 31 years ago.
Thanks. I was feeling okay up until just moments ago.
That hit hard. 31 years ago.
Well, here's the deal. You broadcast that game probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe not quite yet, but you were out in California doing the news or something.
I had been banished from baseball at that time. It was a very dark period.
Nolan Ryan right there behind the plate was a part of that game.
Yeah. He liked the 229. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Was not a big fan of the Drake, though.
No. Nolan and Ruth have been here all weekend, right?
Yeah, they have. I hope Nolan is a big part of decisions, and I just think he's such a valuable commodity.
3-2. Yeah, boy, any conversation with him has to be enlightening for people who want to learn about baseball.
Can't you just hear the conversation? Kids, gather round. I remember when baseball was played in under 2 hours and 30 minutes. No way, Grandpa.
Drew takes a walk. That's the 3rd walk of the inning. And the bases are loaded again. Josh Zide has been working hard in the bullpen, and he's going to come into this game. Bo Porter coming out now to make the bullpen move to pitcher number 4 for the Astros today. So Downs gets 3 outs while he comes in. And with the score 4-0 Boston, Zide will come in to try to get this final out here in the 5th inning and keep this game in reach for the Astros, who have their 7, 8, 9 hitters due up in the bottom of the 5th inning. With the score, Red Sox 4, Astros nothing. We'll step out for this. The bases are loaded as Josh Zide finishes his warm-up tosses. He'll be facing the catcher Christian Vasquez with the bases loaded and 2 outs here in the 5th.
If Josh Zide can get this strike throwing game working, opposition hitters hitting .324. That's kind of hard to figure with a guy that has a mid-90s fastball and the lefties all the way up to .478. 23 hits in 17 in the 3rd innings. Stuff is better than that.
He's the second Astros pitcher to enter the game in relief today with the bases loaded. Anthony Bass came in the 1st inning with the bases loaded, 1 out, and got Jackie Bradley Jr. to bounce into a 4-6-3 double play. Vasquez bounced into a double play in the 2nd, and then he grounded out in the 4th. He's 0 for 2. He looks at the slider, and it's ball 1. Tuesday night, Roger Clemens' Rocket Man Celebrity Slam takes place here at Minute Maid Park at 7 o'clock for the Roger Clemens Foundation. Bouncer up the middle. Backhanded. Altuve flips wildly. 1-run scores. A second runner coming to the plate, and he will score to make it 6-0 Boston. Altuve's flip was not on target, and he was not in a very good position, but wanted to make a play. It's 6-0 Boston.
I'm completely good with that effort there by Jose Altuve. Spectacular effort. And if he gets the out, it'd go down as one of the terrific plays on the season. He doesn't get the out. But again, that's just trying to make something happen.
It's ruled a single and RBI for Vasquez, and then the error by Altuve allowing the 2nd run to score. Altuve's 5th error of the year. Brock Holt is the batter. Strike 1 to the 7th Red Sox at bat here in the 5th inning. He has a big turnout of family and friends. People who supported him at Rice University this weekend. He has a homer and 2 singles.
Well, those folks have not been disappointed.
Right.
No, sir. They have seen a man on a hitting rampage with 8 hits in 12 at bats. It's 10 hits now for the Red Sox today. It's 1-1.
He takes the ball well, the front, side, shoulder, and hip, not flying open. Good looking hitter.
Well, we saw him a little bit when the Astros were in the National League playing the Pirates.
How smoothly he takes that pitch under the knees. This looks like he's ready to take and then fires when he sees a pitch in the strike zone.
Holt had 65 at bats in Pittsburgh in 2012, hit .292, and he was traded to Boston after that season. That's a strike. He started to discard the bat, but it's 3-2 now to Brock Holt.
By the way, Brownie, those Padres of yours back in June when you said they hit .214 went 10 and 17 in a month. I mean, that's a bad month, but it's not a horrendous month. So somehow they managed to win a few.
Well, their pitching's been pretty good. Even though they've been missing some guys who are on the disabled list. 3-2, 2 outs. The runners move, and it's bounced foul. So I guess we'd have to say Bud Black is hanging right in there, considering the tremendous lack of offense. San Diego's 41 and 53 in 3rd place in the NL West. It's a 2-team race with Los Angeles and San Francisco, 1 game apart. 4 teams involved in the NL Central within 2.5. Washington and Atlanta in a virtual tie in the NL East for the lead, 6.5 in front of Miami. Foul ball back with the runners going. So we're starting to get some separation here these last couple of weeks in some of the races.
Is that a good thing?
Well, it depends.
Yeah. I mean, if you're the team on top, it's great. If you're the others, it's tough on the fans.
It is. It's better for a sport if more teams are in contention.
Yep.
line shot going foul, but with the trade deadline coming up here in another couple of weeks, or a little bit more than that, it might more clearly define the buyers and sellers for those trade talks.
Detroit Tigers in the Central in the American League have opened it fairly wide open now. 7.5 games over KC, who not long ago spent a few days in first place.
Yeah, so you wonder about KC maybe making a deal to try to shore things up. Strike him out. And Zide gets out of fifth inning trouble. 2-run score on 2 hits with an error and 2 men stranded, and it's 6-0 Red Sox.
For the Astros now as we move to the bottom of the 5th. Hey, bring the whole family out every Sunday home game at Minute Maid Park this season for Family Sundays presented by Kroger with the Astros. Take advantage of the Kroger Family 4-pack for just $70 on July 27th when the Astros take on the Miami Marlins. For tickets, call 1-877-9-ASTROS, or of course you can always go to Astros.com. Guys, back up to you.
Thanks, Bart. On a Family Sunday, it is 6-0. The Red Sox lead it. We go to the last of the 5th inning. Robbie Grossman ready to step in. He singled to left field in the 3rd. They'll be followed by Hernandez and Gonzalez. Clay Buchholz shooting for win number 4 of this season in his 14th start. Robbie around showing bunt and taking ball 1 high.
We are right on that 4-hour pace today, Brownie.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you recommend?
Oh, I've got some thoughts. You want to get into them.
Let it fly, pal.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I believe the rule book already says 12 seconds to deliver a pitch. It's not enforced. I say you put a clock down there, a shot clock, if you will, and you throw a pitch before that clock in 12 seconds goes off, or it's a ball. And you don't need to tell the hitters a thing. They can walk around, they can fix their gloves and do anything they want, but we're going to call balls and strikes here within the 12 seconds, and if you're walking around, it's likely going to be a strike. So you get hitters in the box that way, and I think that would really shave things up a bit. My concern, the game has gotten so long that it's really tough on everybody, but especially the young people. And I think we need to do our best to start playing baseball again and not just standing around.
Agreed.
I think there needs to be things done with guys coming in out of the bullpen. I think of whatever the amount of time needed to come in and throw your 8 warm-up tosses, if it's 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes from the time the umpire points, you've got your time. use it as wisely as you can.
Still 3-2 to Robbie Grossman.
No doubt some adjustments needed with men on base, but I'm sure that can be worked out. And in terms of the pitching with that shot clock, once the pitcher receives the ball back from catcher or umpire is the start of your 12 seconds. Buchholz is known as a guy who takes a lot of time. I think a lot of that in terms of the averaging comes out with men on base.
Grossman strikes out. It has not been noticeable today. That's number 5 for Buchholz.
But when you've got a game that takes 2 hours to get through 4.5 innings, it's too long. Unless it's an absolute double-digit blowout or both teams scoring in that way.
Buchholz has averaged 27.6 seconds between pitches this season. That's only between pitches in one plate appearance. That's one of the longest lapses this year in the majors. Kike Hernandez with a strike. David Price is one of the slowest also. Major League average this season is 24.4 seconds between pitches.
And one thing I'll say for David Price is when he gets rid of the baseball, he throws strikes. Never actually considered him as a guy that takes that long. And maybe it's because he's not going to 3-ball counts all the time.
That's a very good point. High ball, right field. Brock Holdover. 2 down for Buchholz.
Bottom line, those are my thoughts. I don't think it takes this laundry list of items that you need to change in the game. I think it comes basically down to that shot clock, pitch clock, and you adhere to it and just go ahead and enforce it as the umpires. See if we can actually start playing the game.
Marwin Gonzalez lined out to right in the 3rd. Jose Altuve's on deck. He's 0 for 2 today. Texas Rangers play night games on the weekends usually, but they're playing today. So they play Sunday night games.
Polar vortex.
Yeah, we're going to check up on Mr. Beltre soon. 4-1 Angels over the Rangers. They're in the middle of the 3rd inning. One and one. The Astros on that road trip after the break starting Friday night are at Chicago against the White Sox and then at Oakland. After that they come home for a nice 3-team homestand. 10-game homestand at home. Ground ball foul 1 and 2. So you can make your arrangements to get your tickets now, and they are July 25th through the 27th, 3 with Miami. July 28th through the 30th, 3 with Oakland. July 31st through August 3rd, 4 with Toronto. Some good caliber teams coming in. The Marlins surprised for a while. They've faded a little bit now. Certainly Toronto and Oakland right in it, looking like playoff teams at the moment.
Miami continued to play well even after the loss of Jose Fernandez. It looks like he could be one of the game's elite pitchers.
Well, you'll have Giancarlo Stanton coming in. And a lot of folks will want to see him compared to George Springer. Two of the top young outfield talents in the game.
Stanton's been around a lot longer. They're about the same age. In fact, Stanton is younger than George.
That's in for strike 3 call, and strikeout number 6 for Buchholz. And through 5, he's allowed only 3 singles and leads it 6-0.
6th inning. Time now for the Geico quote of the day. It's from Carl Yastrzemski, one of the game's great hitters. He said, "I'm pleased and very proud of my accomplishments, but I'm most proud of hitting 400 home runs and 3,000 hits combined. Not Ted Williams, not Lou Gehrig, not even Joe DiMaggio did that. They were Cadillacs, and I'm a Chevrolet." 3,419 career hits for Yaz. I even got a chance to play against Carl Yastrzemski a bit. That was those moments actually were some of the greatest when you step on the field with Carl Yastrzemski and Al Kaline and the likes of those players.
Yeah,
really something. 452 bombs.
6-0 Red Sox. Dustin Pedroia takes strike one. 6th inning underway. Pedroia is 2 for 3. Well, Yaz played that left field wall so well. Green monster, in addition to all those hitting accomplishments, and then he moved to first base.
He was one of those guys on the field you couldn't help as a young player but being in awe of him. In all those years against Pete Rose, the all-time hits leader. Played with Frank Robinson, MVP in both leagues. He was my manager a couple of years. There are some of those players that it's all about respect, and they earned it.
Pedroia smokes one to center field. Kike Hernandez gets there on a running play.
All-time hits leaders. Pete Rose, of course, at the top. Ty Cobb, I don't know how he did it with that split grip, but how about Hank Aaron, the all-time home run hitting king in my book? Stan Musial. We mentioned Musial yesterday as one of the great hitters of all time. Honus Wagner. Milo Hamilton got a hold of me, and he said, don't forget about Honus Wagner, the greatest right-hand hitter of all time. And, of course, Yastrzemski, Jeter, Molitor on that list. Very special stuff there.
David Ortiz is 0 for 2 with a walk. That's ball one.
It's great to hear from Milo, and it sounds like he's doing better. And he wants to be here all the time.
We were looking for him today. Haven't seen him. He's usually on radio on Sundays at home. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Come on, Josh. Come on.
Jared Cozart was scheduled to start this game. He was never really listed as the starter, but it would have been his day to pitch. But the Astros want to avoid piling up innings on him. 2 balls and a strike, so they went with Brad Peacock today. So Cozart has thrown 105 2/3 innings here, and he's on his pace to have a personal high. He had 153 last year between AAA and the big leagues. Foul ball there, takes the count to 2-2. And Ryan McTaggart of MLB.com talked with Jared before the game, and he thought that he might be allowed to go to 190 innings or so, or 183 2/3 it says in this story. So this is a way of managing those innings by giving him extra time off over the All-Star break.
Yeah, and don't get caught thinking, well, he had 100+ innings in the first half. That'll put him over 200 after the season's over. Only 66 games for Houston following the All-Star break. Josh Zayed is coming in a little change up here to get the strikeout. Maybe that Brent Strom theory of the changeup is big against Ortiz is working for all comers.
Maybe so. Mike Napoli has a single and a walk in 3 trips. That's ball one.
Castro caught that slider like it was a butterfly darting by.
He sure did. So maybe Big Poppy will catch Yaz in the home run category when Red Sox are at home.
When you were a kid, was Yaz one of those guys that was captivating, that made you look at the box scores?
Yes, he was. Definitely. Of course, we had those great center fielders in New York to watch.
Mantle, Snyder, Mays.
Yeah. Can you imagine 3 center fielders of that caliber in one city?
A lot of people feel Willie Mays went on to become the greatest player of all time.
3 balls and a strike.
Of course, I grew up in L.A. and the Dodgers moved out there, and Duke Snider became one of the centerpieces for that early club.
Did you see Wally Moon play?
Oh, absolutely. Hitting the moon shots over the screen.
2-out walk to Napoli.
Something about, at least for me, and I hope it's the same for the kids today. I don't know if you had the same experience, but those names from when you first start watching the game are magical.
Yes.
And they've stayed with me to this day.
Bet. Nava has been hit up by a pitch. He has reached on an error and he's singled. Well, now, of course, they're all available on TV every night. But back in those days, we didn't actually see them that
It
much.
was imagination, wasn't it?
Yeah. We'd see pictures of them.
You come out to the ballpark and there was no big screen and you didn't see the faces, and there was something mystical about those heroes. I don't know if that's a good thing. For me, it worked.
Yeah, it wasn't all that bad to imagine what they looked like if you listened on the radio.
I think we got about 3 to 6 games on TV a year from the Dodgers at that time.
Fouled away.
Maybe a few more. I have such vivid memories of Juan Marichal and Willie Mays and Willie McCovey and the way they would dominate my boys.
That was quite a rivalry. One of those rivalries that's endured down through the decades. 2 balls, 1 strike. And it certainly is a rivalry this year with those two teams so close in the standings, although the Giants had a 9.5 game lead at one point, and now they're 1 game behind.
And I got to see in person a couple of the no-hitters. One a perfect game from Sandy Koufax. He was the all-time king with 4, and somehow I found myself behind the plate in 1981, was it, with Nolan Ryan, when he decides to break that record. And you just can't even imagine what that feeling is like.
Strike makes it 3-2. You got a chance to be a part of it. Nolan and Reed watching. And then to think that he went on to get a 7th no-hitter. Josh Dodd makes the play. That's an amazing career. After 5.5, it's 6-0 Boston.
And we look at Clay Buchholz, who is shut the Astros down through 5 innings here this afternoon. He's got a good changeup. He's had that slider, and he's had some beneficial calls come his way. George Springer, one of the strikeout victims, as is Robbie Grossman, but he's mixed it around. He's spotted the corners. Clay Buchholz much better today than he's been throughout the course of this season.
Shutout ball through 5. He's given up 3 singles with no walks and 6 punch outs. Oh, with a 6-0 lead, he begins his 6th inning against Jose Altuve, who's 0 for 2. It's inside for ball 1 at 82 miles per hour to Altuve. The Braves have suspended second baseman Dan Uggla 1 game. They have not explained it, but the report is that he got there late. Bob Watson, former Astro player, general manager, presenting that special bat to Jose Altuve, a new franchise record for hits before the All-Star break. That's the logo there on it. Good looking bat. Altuve pops it up, and the catcher Vasquez behind the plate takes care of it. 1 out.
Foul pop-up. Frustrating moment because you don't even bother running. You're just standing there, and you want to flip your bat at the ball coming down before the catcher makes the catch. Anything.
Jason Castro singled in the 4th inning, so he'll open the portion of the season after the All-Star break with a 7-game hitting streak. He's 1 for 2 in yesterday's 3-2 win when he pulled the ball on the ground to get Altuve to third base. That was considered to be one of the key plays of the game. That was in the 8th inning. Bo Porter thought it was. Altuve thought it was. There's ball 1. And Altuve later scored the winning run on the Carter infield hit. Reds lead the Pirates 6-3. They're in the bottom of the 6th inning at Cincinnati. Todd Frazier hit his 19th home. 1-1. Apparently he is one of the guys who hits the longest home runs this year. I wasn't aware of that until I heard Tom Brenneman make that statement on a home run call in the highlights. Neil Walker hit his 13th for the Buccos. Those two teams are neck and neck. Strike. Andrew McCutchen is showing his MVP style lately with some big hits. Good player. Milwaukee and St. Louis tied for first. Cincinnati's a 1.5 games back. Pittsburgh trails by 2.5 in the NL Central. Castro fouls it away. Still 1-2. Tigers and Royals are tied 2-2. They're in the last of the 7th in Kansas City. Nationals are clobbering the Phillies 10-1 in the bottom of the 9th at Philadelphia. Jason Worth hit his 12th home run. Former Philly. Ryan Zimmerman connected for number 4. They could be breaking up the Phillies soon. Strike 3 call. That strikeout number 7.
Big bender that Clay Buchholz throws, and that clearly in the strike zone. I think Castro was just shaking his head at himself. Breaking up the Phillies, huh?
What do you think?
Oh, I think so. I mean, they've had some great years together. One of the dangers when players start getting older.
George Springer looks at strike 1. He's 0 for 2. Well, Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley have to approve any trades.
They are co-GMs, co-assistant GMs
with their contracts. They have the right of approval. Adrian Beltre is 0 for 2 for the Rangers today. He's hitting .336 right now. No balls, 2 strikes.
good assortment of breaking pitches, changing speed with that changeup. And run on his game. Clay Buchholz will get you 95, 96. I don't think he's been on that game this year.
No, his velocity's been down this year. 92 there gets him a strikeout. That's number 8. And through 6, it's 6-0 Boston. Take a look at what's coming up Tuesday night. It's the 85th All-Star Game. Target Field in Minneapolis, Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Home field in the playoffs and World Series. Mike Trout is going to be the center fielder. Then it's Jose Bautista, Adam Jones. Well, we're not sure who's playing center, but two of those guys are center fielders. And it's Donaldson, Jeter, Cano, and Cabrera, along with Salvador Perez. Matt Wieters is injured, and Nelson Cruz, the DH. National League, Puig, McCutchen, and Gomez, Ramos Ramirez, Tulowitzki, Utley, Goldschmidt, and Lucroy for the injured Yadier Molina. So both catchers who were elected by the fans are hurt. There's a line drive, and it's caught. 7th inning underway. Bradley hit a smash. Singleton caught it. One pitch, one out here for Josh Side.
There's some good-looking lineups, but they're going to face some very good-looking pitching.
Yeah, we were almost appalled at some of the pitchers who were not named to the All-Star team, but that's because
Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, so many numbers were outstanding from these pitchers this year.
Clayton Kershaw and Adam Wainwright, others just having great years.
1-0 to Bogarts. He has a sac fly today. Angels Rangers 4-4. Tyler Skaggs versus Scott Baker in the 4th inning. It's 2-0. Rangers could be among those sellers here in the second half of the year. And you look at their situation, they don't have a lot of prospects. They've had a ton of injuries. So apparently there's one line of thought that they're prepared to view this season as an aberration and not back up the truck and move people, but just try to bring back pretty much the same core group and hope it's healthy next year.
I think it's tough in Philadelphia where they have such tremendous support from the fans to just suddenly say, okay, we're going to sell off and try to get this thing to happen again someday soon.
Right. Strike, and it's 2-2. Well, Cliff Lee is hurt, so they won't be trading him. Cole Hamels, though, is perhaps in play. Ground ball in the hole at short. Marwin Gonzalez. Low throw. Singleton saves him an error. No, straight to first. He did not hold on to that baseball. So it will be indeed an error for Marwin Gonzalez, his third.
You make the play, you do everything right. Footwork is good, but the throw just not a good one. And that's that in-between hop. The short one is fairly easy for the first baseman. This tweener is very tough.
Third error for Marwin this year, and the Astros have made 3 in this game. Stephen Drew bats. He has a single and a walk, so they just had a rough day in just about every department. Strike 1 to Drew. They've given up 10 hits and 6 runs. They've made 3 errors. And through 6 innings, they have 3 singles. And just those 3 guys have reached base.
Red Sox bring nice crowds with them, and it's tough when you don't play well in front of the nice crowds.
It's out to center field. Kike Hernandez cuts across to field it. Spins and throws toward third. It's cut off by Marlon Gonzalez. And it's first and third on the single by Drew with 1 out.
You know, that's kind of a shortstop in center field right there. Very nice job. This ball easily could have gotten by many a center fielder. Kike Hernandez charges it. You could at moments think, well, I wonder if he's out of control, but he's not. And then he just uses that glove, puts his feet in position like an infielder to make a quick throw to second base, for example, and just comes up with a good throw.
Excellent play. We keep looking for flaws and we're not finding them.
No blemishes yet.
Christian Vasquez with an RBI single in 3 trips. There's strike 1 to him. Kike has started 7 games in left field. This is his first start in center field. He has started a couple games at shortstop. Who knows where we're going to see him when Friday rolls around.
Now, what if he had just come up throwing, launching a strong throw, uncuttable to third base? And if he gets the man, a lot of people would say, oh, what a great throw. But what Kike did was he kept the throw down where it was cuttable, and then you can make things happen that way. That's the right thing. It leaves the base hit from Drew at first base and not moving into second base. That's just playing good baseball.
Outside for a ball. It's 1-2 to Vasquez. Yeah, there is a latest rumor about Cole Hamels, Ash, that the Nationals are interested in him.
Well, you know, if you make a deal that's strong enough, Astros, Seattle Mariners, Randy Johnson, and the rest of the gang in that trade, I mean, you have to consider everything that's out there. You've got to listen.
Out of play, still 1-2.
And I think Phillies fans would buy in if you make a strong enough deal there. Of course, even in the case of the Mariners, what they landed, Carlos Guillen, Freddie Garcia, they didn't know who those guys were. They would turn into great players. But at the time of the deal, that sometimes is hard to sell to the fans.
Well, back still 1-2. Jose Veras warming up for the Astros.
By the way, we're kind of going back to the all-star pitchers on both sides. If I said to, I know you'll know the answer, but to most baseball fans, who leads the American League qualified starters in ERA? I imagine you'd hear Felix Hernandez and Tanaka, Garrett Richards, maybe even the way he's pitched so well. Chris Sale has gone right to the top of the class.
Out to left center field. Carter cutting over. Carter makes the catch. Here's the tag at third. The throw comes into second. It's 7-0 on a sac fly by Vasquez, scoring Bogarts. Second RBI today for Vasquez, and he's had a 5 RBI weekend here.
Time now for the Mako big hit of the game. And that goes way back to the first inning. Brock Holt at the plate, the leadoff man for the Boston Red Sox. And oh yeah, Brad Peacock was on the mound at the time. Leadoff man for the Red Sox launches one to the second tank in right field and quickly 1-0. And as it turned out, Brad Peacock would only get 1 out in that first inning.
Holt has followed that home run with 2 more singles. And lines this one on 1 bounce. Marlin scrambles for it, will not have a play. That one came up and looked like it caught him in the midsection. He was played in a good position, but nonetheless could not handle that one hopper.
Yeah, Brock Holt just continues to sting the baseball, though.
It's ruled a hit, and that's a 4th hit for Brock Holt.
Wow. What a series.
4 for 5 today. That's 9 for 14 this weekend.
Line shot right back up the middle. Defense aligned perfectly, but when it's going badly, it just continues to go that way.
Josh Stein is coming out of the game with 2 on and 2 out. 7-0 Red Sox. Jose Veras coming in. Back in a moment. Have added to their lead here in the 7th inning. Another unearned run has scored after an error by shortstop Marvin Gonzalez. There have been 2 singles and a sac fly in the inning. Now Jose Veras comes in 18 games with the Cubs and Astros. 0-1 with a 6.98 ERA.
Always watch how it goes with that first hitter for Jose Veras. Sometimes has a bit of a struggle hitting the mound on the field and coming with that command right away.
Dustin Pedroia is 2 for 4. Runners at first and second and 2 outs. Starts with a breaking pitch, and Castro is crossed up. It's ball 1.
He's just going to have to get a cross-up chart and start marking it. Well, yeah, he was looking fastball right there. Surprised that he had the baseball. Where is it? In my glove. You kidding me? Yeah, you can say, well, Veras is new to the team and maybe doesn't know the signs. What?
This fastball off the mid of Castro allows the runners to advance. That one did not come out of his hand looking very good at all. Now runners at second and third with 2 outs.
Yeah, it just gets embarrassing when this sort of thing goes on. It's not good.
Wild pitch for Veras. Two 2-0 to Pedroia now. Three balls, no strikes. Ortiz is on deck.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about with that inability to come out of the bullpen and be ready to throw strikes.
Strike one. Brad Peacock went 1/3 of an inning as the starter, allowing 2 hits and 1 run. Anthony Bass 3 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned. Darren Downs 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 runs, 1 earned. Josh Zod's pitching line has not yet been finalized. walk to Pedroia, loads the bases for Big Papi. Ortiz 0 for 3 with a walk today.
Wow.
That's off the mitt of Castro. No advance, though. And it's ball 1 to Ortiz. Pedroia, with his 2 hits today, has hit in all 16 games he has played against the Astros. And 12 of those have been at Minute Maid Park. It's Drew at third. Holt at second. Pedroia at first. Altuve's playing out in right field. Ortiz takes it. And it's 2-0.
It's been 4 days since Barris last pitched. But you can work all you want in the bullpen or on the side in terms of command. Some will say it's not the same, but part of that preparation.
That's a strike, 2-1. As of the moment, Jose Altuve is 0 for 3 in this game. Adrian Beltre is 0 for 2 in the Rangers game. They're both hitting .336.
Yeah, I'd love to see Jose go to the All-Star game. And he's not going to be a starter, but be the guy that's obviously the leader in the league in hitting.
Ortiz looks at it. It's ball 3. It's 3-1. Porter's club fell behind after one batter. Brock Holt with a leadoff homer made it 1-0. Now it's 7-0. In for a strike, and it's 3-2 to Ortiz.
Bit surprised on the 3-1 in a 7-0 game that Ortiz was taking right there with the bases juiced.
Now the runners are about to take off. Ortiz had the big 3-run double in the 6th inning Friday night. And now a bases loaded walk to make it 8-0. 63rd run batted in for Ortiz.
Doesn't come with the fastball. Tries to backdoor a breaking ball and just simply leaves it away. David Ortiz presented an at-bat right there that looked like he thought he might walk all the way. Just kind of settled in, kind of taking pitches.
Did he even swing the bat at all?
Don't think he did in that at-bat.
I think he took every pitch. Mike Napoli has a single and 2 walks. .316 hitter with the bases loaded. 6 grand slams for Napoli. He's swinging there at strike 1. In the 3rd inning, he hit the first pitch and got a single on it. Mike Trout has driven in 4 today so far for the Angels.
He's going to be a pretty good player, I think.
He has 73 runs batted in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's at 22 homers. He's pushing right up amongst the leaders in RBIs. He's the only guy, the last time I checked, that had an OPS above 1,000.
Is he capable of a triple crown this year?
Don't know that he can win the home run title. He hits some of the longest home runs you'll see, though.
2-1.
I don't know. What do you think in that regard?
Probably not. Jose Abreu came into today the leader with 29 homers. Nelson Cruz was second with 28. Trout was fourth with 22. Trout now is close to the RBI lead, which was 74 by Cabrera and Cruz coming into the day. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and batting average. Trout is 9th coming into today, 308. So he would have to really get hot.
I could see him doing that. He's got that opposite field stroke like Miguel Cabrera. It never would surprise me if Cabrera wins a batting title the way he waits on the ball and drives it the other way. Trout's the same type of hitter.
Napoli strikes out to end the Boston 7th inning. 2-run scoring on 2 hits with an error and 3 men left. And with Boston leading 8-0, we'll keep it right here for the singing of God Bless America.
Well, it's our Sunday afternoon tradition here at Minute Maid Park. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask that you please rise and join us as we pause to honor our great nation, as well as saluting those who defend our freedoms around the world each and every day. With members of the Coast Guard Battalion from Coast Guard Houston, we welcome back Cantor Daniel Mutlu as he leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Are trailing the Red Sox 8-0 in the bottom of the 7th. We asked y'all on Twitter with the All-Star break coming up, what is your favorite part of the All-Star festivities? Got a whole bunch of variations, got a whole bunch of answers. Here we go. Supermercado9 tweets, seeing a very competitive pitcher versus hitter matchup every single at-bat. Only this All-Star game, the only All-Star game in pro sports that goes all out. I like that one. Rob Wagner 24 tweets, I'd have to say the home run derby because you don't normally see the player's reaction that very often, makes it a chilled atmosphere. That's some good stuff. Thank you very much for tweeting me at HochNCSN. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Howard. Chris Carter leading it off, 8-0 Boston. There's strike one to Carter, who singled in the 4th inning after lining to shortstop in the 2nd. Just 3 singles allowed to Houston by Buchholz today. Native of Nederland, Texas. That one comes in for a strike call, and quickly it's 0-2. Carter's been on a home run rampage this month. With 19 for the year, he's tied for the lead among DHs. Fly ball, right center field. Buchholz is coming in. 1 out here in the 7th inning for Buchholz.
Rough season, strong day for Buchholz.
He struck out 10 Astros last year at Boston when he won that game, going 7 2/3 innings. John Singleton has lined to right and flied to left. Matt Dominguez is on deck. Strike one to Singleton. Foul back, and it's no balls, 2 strikes. Ruby De La Rosa is warming up for the Red Sox. Off the plate, it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Red Sox have pitched 4 shutouts this season. The Astros have been blanked 10 times. It's 2-2. It's been quite an era for Red Sox baseball, with 3 world championships in a 10-year span after all those years of waiting. High expectations accompany the team when they headed for spring training this year. It's been a rough ride so far for them, with 42 wins, 52 losses. Now the big question is, do they have time to turn it around? Well, if Buchholz turns it around, that could be one key component. He came into this game with an ERA of 6.11. Struck him out looking.
That outside corner from right-hand pitchers has been a real rough spot for John Singleton here recently. And the pitchers have been spotting it well. See that rotation on the baseball, a little cutter action.
Matt Dominguez is 0 for 2, a strikeout, and he's also grounded back to the pitcher. Seven strikeouts was the high for the year for Buchholz coming into this game. He's at 9 right now. There's a strike on the foul ball by Domingo. Reds Alfredo Simon and Tyler Clippard have been added to the National League All-Star pitching staff. Simon's a 12-game winner. Very deserving. It's 1-1. Adam Wainwright is a strong candidate to start for the National League. So is Clayton Kershaw. Mike Matheny manages the team, so he may lean toward his own guy, Wainwright. 1-2. On the other hand, he is in a very tight pennant race, so he might want a rested Wainwright coming out of the All-Star break. Then again, there's home field advantage in the World Series. Strikeout looking. That's 10 punch-outs for Buchholz. We go to the 8th inning, and it's 8-0 Boston.
Nothing now, and as promised earlier in the game, we had the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #CSNH fan photo for a chance to be shown on an upcoming broadcast. And here's the winner today. Interesting tattoo coming to us from Michael. It's sort of a Superman Astros combo thing working there, and he's probably got other tattoos, but this is the only one he sent us, and thank goodness for that, Brownie.
They don't send all of them, Bart, and we're thankful. You're right. Carlos Corcoran is the new catcher, taking over for Jason Castro. Castro was 1 for 3 today. In an 8-0 game, Corp comes in to catch the 8th inning. That's the only change for the Astros. Daniel Nava leads it off for the Red Sox. Nava has 1 hit today. He's been hit by a pitch. He's reached on an error. That's ball 1. Final score: Nationals 10, Phillies 3 in Philadelphia. Tanner Roark goes to 8-6 with a win, beating Kyle Kendrick is 4-9. Worth and Ryan Zimmerman go deep. Worth drove in 4. He usually catches it when he goes back to Philadelphia from those fans because of his decision to leave through free agency and go down the turnpike to Washington. He certainly had a day of it. Slicing line drive, Chris Carter over. That's a hit. He plays it on a bounce. Nava's aboard with a leadoff single here in the 8th inning.
This season at Minute Maid Park, every Friday night home game is followed by spectacular fireworks. That's presented by Marathon Oil Corporation. The next Friday night fireworks is Friday, July 25th against the Marlins. Get tickets at 1-877-9-ASTROS or at astros.com.
That's 13 hits for the Red Sox today.
I'd heard all the stories about the Red Sox not swinging the bats well at all, and runs were extremely hard to come by, last in the league. But that's not the club I've been watching here the last 3 days.
Jackie Bradley Jr. has a hit. There is ball 1. They have 38 hits in this 3-game series. $18 runs in the 3 games. They came into this game today averaging 3.8 runs per game, the lowest figure in the American League. Foul back, and it's 1-1. So you're right, that's not the team we've been seeing. stat sheet is lying to us, Al.
Something is amiss here. We're going to have to delve into this. You got a guy to your right, Phil Boudreau. He can look into this matter, I think.
He'll come up with some serious answers. It'll be summed up in the phrase, "That's baseball."
That's what it usually comes down to, isn't it?
Bouncer up the middle. Altuve to its right. Flip to Marlon Gonzalez. 4-6-3 double play. That's number 5 of the day for the Astros.
I love double plays. Beautifully started by Altuve. Just made it as easy as he could make it for Marwin Gonzalez. Gave him time to clear out of that base path.
Even with the 5 double plays, Boston has stranded 11 runners in the game. Xander Bogaerts has a sac fly today. Ball 1. Everybody in the lineup for the Red Sox has reached base. The Mets took the measure of the Marlins 9-1 in New York. Jacob deGrom won it. Brad Hand. It's 1-1. To left center field. Carter's backing on it. Hernandez there. Carter underneath it, and he catches up with it. Good play by Carter. No runs, a hit. And we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. 8-0 Red Sox. Time brought to you by Miller Lite, showing you the Astros with 5 double plays in this game. Altuve and then Marlin and Singleton on that one. Marlin starting that one.
They've even gotten one from third to home and on down to first base. The line drive version of the double play. Started nicely by Matt Dominguez, but really the strong side of it I thought was Castro. But that tandem up the middle, Marwin and Jose Altuve, really getting it done.
We have changes for the Red Sox, who lead at 8-0. Clay Buchholz will be working the bottom of the 8th inning, and it's a different right side of the infield now. Rockhold has moved from right field to second base. Mike Carp is at first base. The right fielder's Mookie Betts. Robbie Grossman, the batter. He's 1 for 2. Curveball in for strike 1. There's Holt. Started at right. Now he's at second. Harp at first. And Betts in right field. Oh, and 2 to Grossman, who singled to left in the 3rd inning. Kike Hernandez is on deck. Marwin Gonzalez due up third. Rays shut out the Blue Jays 3-0 on a 5-hitter. David Price won it. He's 9-7. He beat R.A. Dickey, who's 7-9. Jake McGee got his 7th save. That's the 4th straight start. David Price has won. So the Rays go to the break with a record of 44-53, while the Blue Jays are 49-47. Blue Jays might be looking for some offense without Edwin Encarnacion and Adam Lynn.
Two of the big bats in that lineup, no doubt. And they're a team that slams it or they lose.
Eric Kratz DHing today for them.
I bet that wasn't planned coming out of spring training.
No way. Grossman strikes out. That's 11 for Buchholz. And that ties his career high set against Tampa Bay last year on April 14th.
He was changing speeds really well with this changeup today.
He is. It's been a staple for him. Shooting for win number 4 of the year. He is coasting right now, and Kike Hernandez is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a fly ball to right field. That bounces for ball 1. Price worked 8 innings of shutout ball today. Got his ERA down to 3.23.
Had kind of a rough start to his season, but he's come back very strong.
He has put together a run. He was pulled from that start yesterday. Wasn't feeling good. 2 balls, no strikes. Chris Carter is the only Astro who has not struck out today, with a total of 11 for Buchholz. To right field, Mookie Betts. 2 outs. Buchholz coming back close to home has dialed it up in this ball game. He's really had a nice mix going. Excellent changeup. Fastball's been around 92 tops. Marwin Gonzalez is 0 for 2. He lined to right and struck out looking. In Colorado, the Twins lead the Rockies 5-4 in the top of the 4th inning. While Target Field is being used for the Futures game today. Domingo Santana playing in that one for Houston. Ball 1 to Marwin Gonzalez. Cleveland edged the White Sox 3-2 in Cleveland. Yan Gomes hit a homer. That was his 12th.
I think the Blue Jays might have misevaluated Yan Gomes.
Boy, he's a good-looking catcher who can hit.
By the way, in Tampa Bay today with the Blue Jays in, they played a game in 2 hours and 45 minutes. You mentioned David Price not working overly quickly, but throwing strikes, that helps a good deal.
Yeah, that does make a difference. 1-2. Yankees and Orioles play tonight in Baltimore. Padres and Dodgers are underway, of course scoreless after 4. They ought to be playing World Cup soccer.
On the West Coast, I think that's what they do play.
Struck him out. That's number 12 for Buchholz. We go to the 9th inning, 8-0 Boston. Sportsnet is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Maaco, let us turn the car you drive back into the car you love. Maaco, America's body shop. Bart Ennis and Orbit up on El Grande, entertaining the crowd today as Orbit tried to play TV reporter. Meanwhile, it's 8-0 Red Sox as we go to the 9th inning. And pitcher number 6 in the game is David Martinez, who was sensational on Friday night with 3 hitless innings and had 1 walk and 2 strikeouts in that game.
Just his 3rd game here this afternoon. 6 innings is all he's worked and a couple of hits allowed, so he's been very good. Just before you got to see Orbit up there as a broadcaster, a gentleman in the seats was having a hair plucked out of his neck from his girlfriend and or wife. I'm not sure.
Oh,
but one of those special moments to be on the big board.
Yes, it really is. That entertains very well here. Strike 1 to Stephen Drew. 2 hits and a walk tonight. Fouled away, and it's no balls, 2 strikes. It's a new career strikeout high for 1 game for Clay Buchholz. He has 12 through 8 innings. Quite a day for Buchholz, not far from his home of Nederland, Texas. That's a broken bat looper. Altuve, 1 out.
Stay tuned for Astros postgame live. That's presented by Jack in the Box.
Altuve will come up in the bottom of the 9th. He's hitting .336. We'll check on Mr. Beltre of Texas in a moment. Christian Vasquez has driven in 2. He's 5 runs batted in 2 games. He loops this fly ball near the right field line. That's a fair ball. Fan reaches over and interferes with it, so that's ruled a double by the umpire Rob Drake. It's up to the umpire to decide how far the base runner would have gone if the ball had not been interfered with by the fan.
That might have been a challenged double right there. Robbie Grossman was over pretty close to being ready to pick up the baseball. Here's this inside out stroke that we've seen already in the series. Christian Vasquez has proven that he can hit that way. I imagine a lot of teams are going to start pitching him in and see what he can do there. But see Robbie Grossman coming over. I kind of wonder, had he picked up the baseball shortly, if he could possibly have thrown Vasquez out digging for second.
It's one of those things we'll never know. Brock Holt takes a look at it. Strike 1. He is 4 for 5 today. Led off the game with a homer. He has 3 singles. Adrian Beltre is hitting .336 for the Rangers. They're in the top of the 6th inning. Backhanded Singleton. He throws, but not in time. Martinez was not there. And Holt gets another hit. His 5th. Good play by Singleton, but the pitcher did not arrive in time to get the out.
Brock Holt, you are off the charts hot. Boy, is he taking advantage of a chance. Number 1 in the big leagues, and number 2 coming back home to the Houston area to make all this happen. That 1-step delay in the dig to first base cost Martinez. Nice play by John Singleton.
Holt goes in head first and beats it for the first 5-hit game by a Red Sox this year. Now Mike Carp fouls it back. Strike 1 to Carp. 211, no homers. He's driven in 7. Carp looks at that one, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
10 hits in a 3-game series for Brock Holt.
It's amazing. Carp looks at that one for ball 2, and it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count to Mike Carp. Carp's been used as a pitcher by the Red Sox this year. He was 0 for 3 with 2 walks as the starting first baseman in Friday night's game. Now it's 3-1. Angels lead the Rangers 8-4. They're in the middle of the 6th inning in Arlington. It's Arizona 1, San Francisco nothing at San Francisco. They're in the bottom of the 5th. Vidal Nuño starting for Arizona today against Madison Bumgarner. Out into center field. That's going to scoot and go all the way. All the way up to the base of Taos Hill. 2 runners home. Carp to third. A 2-run triple for Carp. 10-0 Boston.
We talked earlier in the game about how shallow Kike Hernandez was playing in center field, and it might have cost him right here. When this ball got by him, it was just off to the races. See how shallow he is as the ball does get by. I wonder if that's part of Kike feeling like he can go back on the baseball really well.
David Ortiz takes a look at that one. It's ball 1 to him. Ortiz 0 for 3 with a couple of walks. One of them drove in a run. Jose Barris in 1 1/3 innings allowed 1 hit, no runs, had 2 walks, 1 strikeout. Josh Side gave up a couple of unearned runs. There's a grounder to Altuve in shallow right field. Runner scoring from third to make it 11-0. Ortiz getting his second RBI, 64th of the year, driving in Carp.
So David Ortiz takes an 0 for 4 in an 11-0 lead for the Red Sox. That has to be very rare.
Yeah, you'd think so. 11 runs on 16 hits. Mookie Betts is the batter. Strike 1 from David Martinez. Ortiz is 1 for 11 in this series. Foul back and it's 0-2. Mookie Betts had a 2-hit game along with a steal in the lineup last night.
That stat you gave on Ortiz would be the stat I would expect to hear in an 0-3 series for the Sox.
Yeah. Out to center field, Kike Hernandez over to right center for the catch to end the top of the ninth. The Red Sox tack on 3 on 3 hits. They lead 11-0.
On top, 11-0. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. So join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Go to Astros.com for more details. All right, guys, get those rally caps on.
Thanks, Bart. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Clay Buchholz has thrown 102 pitches. 71 have been strikes through the first 8. In command with a 3-hit shutout so far. Jose Altuve is 0 for 3. His 6-game hitting streak on the line. And he hits a ground ball to short. Stephen Drew. 1 out here in the 9th inning. Correction on Big Papi, David Ortiz. He's 2 for 11 in this series.
Is that a home run?
Yeah. Boston, this weekend, Boston has scored 21 runs in 3 games on 41 hits.
It's going to just add to the Tiger-Kansas City game today. J.D. Martinez went 3 for 4 and goes to the All-Star break hitting .346.
346. Carlos Corcoran, .259 with 5 homers, has 17 runs batted in. He's had 108 at-bats this year. Ball 1. We've not been told of any injury to Jason Castro, assuming at this point just a bit of a rest to get him reconfigured for the second half of the season. He was 1 for 3 while he was in there. Carlos Corcoran coming in. But at this stage of the season, just about every catcher wouldn't mind a couple of innings off. 2 balls, no strikes, especially in an 11-0 game. 4 career shutouts for Buchholz. There's been 1 complete game for the Red Sox by John Lester this year. Foul tip goes into the mid of Vasquez. 2 balls and a strike.
I'll say this for the day of Jason Castro. The 7 innings he caught were probably more like about 16, 17 innings on a regular basis. It was a real battle behind the plate today.
That's correct. That was a complete game by John Lackey of the Red Sox this year. That's their only one. It's 2-2. High chop. Mike Carp has it. On the first, 2 outs. Preston Tucker hit 2 homers today for Oklahoma City in a win against Iowa. And he had 4 extra base hits. They won it 5-2. Now a guy we haven't seen for a while, Jesus Guzman. Pinch hits for George Springer. Guzman hasn't played in about 11 days. Cole Porter was asked about him before the game. He said, well, every day I tell him to be ready. You never know what's going to happen. 211 is his average. 2 homers, 7 runs batted in. He's had 133 at-bats. Out to center field. Bradley back. And the Red Sox have 1-2 out of 3. A complete game 3-hit shutout for Buchholz with a new strikeout high of 12. And he leads the Red Sox to this win. It's number 4 of the season for him. Red Sox supporting him on a huge offensive day for them with 11 runs on 16 hits. 109 pitches for Buchholz. Final score, Red Sox 11, Astros nothing.